We got a great show for you guys tonight. I'll tell you, you wait for weeks like this. I mean, Nintendo did what Nintendo does, and this was great. I mean, there's so many highs and lows from yesterday's show. There's excitement from a gamer's perspective. Nintendo's out there. They're doing certain things that we've been asking for a long time. The games that they showed. I'm not going to get too much into my opinion because I want to get the panel's opinion on here first. But what a great show we got lined up for you, as well as a few other things that are new to the week that came out that I think you guys are playing that we're going to get into as well. But guys, take a second to hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. And I mention this all the time, but as we creep closer and closer to the end of April, early May, that is when we're going to be over on Twitch doing a lot of gaming. When the games come out, we're going to be out there the night of, playing it through the weekends. And of course, you guys are going to get to, you guys already know I play too much Warzone. We're going to be doing a little bit of Warzone Wednesdays as well. But nonetheless, that's twitch.tv. Go over there. It's Mooch TV. Drop the O's for zeros. M00CHTV. Everywhere. Guys, I appreciate that. Also, if you'll hit that join button, that's the button right above that outstanding description right there. That description is at least a B+ in ninth grade English. Okay, go ahead and take a look at that. You'll love what you're seeing. It gives you a little synopsis of what we're going to talk about tonight. So you get your name and lights in as well. Your name and green in the chat. Guys, I really appreciate it. Shout out to Mash as well last week. Mash was about, I don't know if he donated 30 or 40 memberships to the channel. I lost count. But thanks to Mash. I appreciate that, as well as all the great super chats. I see the great Brian Baker out there. Great to have him. The DeFloyd is out there. Shout out to Jay Barry. He says Switch 2 over Xbox Series consoles. No debate. Jay, you're already starting a war out there, which I love. It's great. It's Crossfire. It's what we're here for. Shout out to the great Jay Barry. Shout out to Mel. Snap It's Mel's here as well. Mel, we need more streams from you as well, please. We are all asking. They're outstanding. He says, Mooch, it is 50, 90 day. Yet for you, you're in for a treat. I can't wait, buddy. That's going to be this weekend. We're doing the PC build this weekend. It's going to be fantastic. Great to have the great Blades with us as well. Guys, let's get into this great show. We have an outstanding panel, as you guys will all kind of filter in and tweet it out. I've got the great Death Singer with us. And Death Singer, listen, a lot of people have been writing me. You don't even know this. They're like, will you please ask Death Singer to give his opinion on how he went from so high to so low on the Switch 2. We're going to get to that, but Death Singer, how you doing tonight, buddy?
That was a roller coaster of an announcement.
It really was.
I sat there, I watched it, I was riding the high, and then right at the end, crashed the fucking roller coaster. Straight up, just crashed it. Didn't even bother. Put no brakes, nothing. It was a whole thing. But after looking into it, but we'll get into it. But yeah, it's always great to be here. And we have a fantastic panel. So
this is going to be a great night. The panel's great. The chat's already on fire. Guys, please do tweet it out. Let everybody know that we are live. I was reading through Twitter. It's always good to have some notes. I've got my notes here for the show. We try to do our homework beforehand. But I sit there and I'm looking and I'm scrolling through and I see the great Nib. You guys know Nib all too well. And he's got this outstanding post. It goes about 47,000 characters. He's definitely paying extra on X. You guys know him as Nib GPT. The great Nib95 is back. Nib, great to have you here, buddy. The amount of time that you put into this, you have to have a keyboard attached to your phone. You must.
Let me just turn on my AI program. Hello, Mooch. Nice to meet you.
It's great to have you, Nib.
Yeah, no. Do you know what it is? Like, and this is the truth, is that shit interests me. The data interests me, and the dynamics and the business of it does too.
Yes.
I've always been interested in that stuff. So when you're writing about stuff that intrigues you and that you really want to know, I don't know if other people want to know it. I don't really care. Just put it out there and hope if it sticks, it sticks. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I don't really care. But if it's like stuff I was going to research anyway for my own knowledge, so it's like, yeah, might as well put it in a tweet. And if people like it, they do. If they don't, they don't. But yeah, this is really interesting stuff. And like Death Singer was saying, this announcement was a proper roller coaster. It's like a movie. I was like, say what? They're doing what? You who?
It's funny that you say that. It's funny you say that, though, Nib, because a lot of people always say if you do what you love, you'll do it that much better, right? And I mean, if this is something that fascinates you, Nib, this is something that you definitely put a lot of time into. And I do. Yeah. I find it very, very interesting how you deep dive into the numbers. And we're going to get into it in a second. I don't want to get into your tweet that you just put out about 25, 30 minutes ago, because you really get into the analytics here of what was sold. And an interesting figure you have here is also the employees required to make those games? And we're going to get into that. So I won't go diving into that. I'll let you explain it because I think you did a really, really really great job on that. But Niv, great to have you here. You guys all know our next guest, the great Jay Bari, is here. You know what's up, PlayStation, Saturday mornings, 11 a.m. Eastern. That's how I start my Saturday. That's how I recommend you guys start yours. The great Jay Bari is here. Jay, a lot of things to talk to you about, not just Nintendo. South of Midnight, you got to at least put your hands on it for a while, I believe. So I'm intrigued to hear what you have to say about that. But Jay, welcome to the show. How you doing tonight?
Yeah, man. Appreciate the invite, man. It's always a pleasure coming on the show. I'm looking forward to talking about all the great Switch news, Switch 2 news. You know, you got the best Nintendo gamers out on the panel.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So you know, we got the skills and we got the experience. You know what I mean? So
absolutely, Jay. Nothing but the best.
Yeah. South of Midnight, pretty cool game. But yeah, we'll talk about it later and whatnot. But yeah, hit the like button, y'all. Share the stream out. And it's going to be a fun show. It's going to be a fun one.
I appreciate that, Jay. And of course, the great BG is with us. BG, I got to say on the air here, it's been way too long, and it's my fault, of course, that having you on Crossfire. You have to be on more often. You guys know him from Weapon Wheel Podcast, Sundays at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, or as I call it, the Lord's Time. Great to have some New Yorkers in the house. BG, welcome back to Crossfire. How you doing tonight?
Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm good. Exciting times. We got another console release.
Yes.
Really makes you feel old when you keep like going through all these new console releases. Like, we've experienced too many.
Yes.
Getting up there, bro.
Yeah, so BG, listen, I'll put you on the hot seat first and foremost. I love the segue you kind of put in right there. We have seen so many of these at this point that almost when you're watching the propaganda, you're kind of buying in and you're already calling BS on certain things. So let's start top level. Sometimes I'll throw like 3-4 things at you. I just want to ask you this. The Nintendo Switch announcement, overall thoughts on the reveal. And what I mean by that is, what did you think of the console itself? Maybe some of the things that they've changed. They changed some of the ergonomics on the Joy-Cons. The screen's a little bit bigger. It's better resolution. We've got better frame rates. Before we get into the pricing, I really want to know what you think of the hardware and the layout of first and third party games.
Yeah, I think it's, you know, them keeping the Switch 2 naming and number convention makes sense in this case.
Mm-hmm.
They don't usually do that, but that's what it is. It's another iteration of the Switch, and that's fine. I don't think they should depart from what worked well, because the Switch was a major success. And in the announcement, like in the reveal, they tried to make it seem like they said this is just another version of the Switch, but it kind of is, and that's not a bad thing. You know, bigger screen, bigger joy pads, 120, it can go up to 120. It's gonna have DLSS, all that good stuff,
Hey, yo.
that just, come on, dog. All that good stuff that just makes it a better version of the original Switch. So I'm not mad at it. The whole mouse, using it as a mouse, that's we got to see how that feels.
That's right.
Because I'm like, that could just be a decent idea, but the execution just doesn't feel right.
Right.
I could imagine like for games like first person shooters like Metroid, or the some of the strategy games like Civilization that they're getting on there. Maybe good for those.
Good point.
But we got to see if it actually feels like, like using a mouse, or if it's just like, no, this doesn't work well. So yeah, it's familiar. We know what it is. We're familiar with the hardware. It's just another iteration of it. So I'm definitely not mad at it. It's a day one for me. Usually Nintendo consoles come with a new way to play. Like the recent ones is like, okay, we want you to play a completely different way than you played last time. But this one is like, no, we're keeping the same way you played.
That's right.
It's just going to be all about, the games, the creativity in the games is, what they're going to do.
Does that take a little bit away though, BG? Honestly, does that take a little bit away? Because I, as you're saying that, I'm going through it, I'm reminiscing. We had the Wii U where they were like, now we want to have this handheld in your possession at all times. But, you know, and you kind of interacted. Remember, you were playing up on the screen and you would look down and your inventory or certain maps would be on that, right? They changed that. Then we go back a step further with motion controls and really getting tennis and bowling and sports and all of that other stuff, archery, all kinds of things that you could do. They changed the game there. Then they said, hey, wait a minute, we're taking the console completely on the road that you can dock. Okay, and we got used to that with the Switch. And whether you go back further, NES to SNES to GameCube, the GameCube, of course, with the controller and different things that they came out with, different ways to play. I like the way you kind of put that. Wasn't thinking about it in that direction. This is the first time that they said, wait a minute, we've got a winning formula. This works. I'm okay with that, but it is a change for one of the first times in a long time that Nintendo said, we're just going to stay with that. As a consumer, though, BG, and excitement, does it dwindle down a little bit? Because we already had the Switch. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe Switch came out in 2017. I want to say 2017. If it was
2017.
right. So if it came out in 2017, here we are. We know we're going to have the Switch 2 now for at least another 7-8 years. So I mean, I shouldn't say that. Never speak in absolutes. But my point being is that it's kind of more of the same. Just, you know, up the ante in the analytics column, right? You have better resolution, better frames. I mean, does that take anything away? Do you think that's going to deter anybody from upgrading?
No, I'm pretty sure all the Nintendo fans, the diehard ones that had a Switch, they're going to get a Switch 2. They're the most loyal fan base, sometimes to a fault, but they are very loyal. I think even the ones, you know, like me, I'm not a diehard fan, but I'm a fan of, I'm getting Mario Kart, I'm getting that Donkey Kong game. So they got me in there. I don't want them to do something super jarring, and it's a new way to play, and you gotta learn it. Like I didn't like the Wii, didn't like the Wii U. Like prior to the Switch, like the GameCube was my favorite, Nintendo console, and I was like, man, they just doing all this. Yeah, they just doing all this different stuff. I'm like, okay, you lost me. Now I was skeptical of when the Switch was coming out. I'm like, they're doing it again, this whole novelty thing. But they got me, I'm like, because at least I can play this like a normal console. And that's how I play my Switch. I actually hardly ever play in handheld. I just have it docked.
Same
I
here.
play on my TV.
Yeah.
So I'm like, at least I have the, that option that I could still play, games in a conventional method. So that's fine with me.
BG, do you use the Steam Deck at all? Do you have a Steam Deck?
I had a ROG Ally. I got rid. I tried the Steam Deck. I didn't like just like the ergonomics of it. I felt like the ROG Ally is way better ergonomically and it just more comfortable.
Okay. But you still have the ROG Ally?
Yes.
Okay. The only reason I'm only asking that because when you said you're playing your Switch docked all the time, I do as well. I can tell you right now, I even got the OLED Switch and everyone's like, well, that's the reason you want to get it for the screen. I guess so. I mean, I traded in my original one to get that, so it wasn't too bad of an offset. But the perk of having the OLED is actually playing it in handheld mode, and I have it docked all the time. I have a Steam Deck. I use it occasionally, but again, I'm finding that as I go further and further in life, I actually, unless I'm on the road, I don't find myself using too many. Even the PS Portal. The other night, I was sitting on the couch. I took out the Portal, and I was playing some Shadows on it, Assassin's Creed Shadows. And it was okay, but I was sitting on when everyone left the room, I was like, I put that down, and I picked up the controller and started playing on the TV. I would rather play on a TV, on a couch. The handheld thing, that market for me is not as enticing. But that was interesting when you said that you always play a dock. That's what I'm always wondering here. So when it comes down to it, Jay Bari, I'll ask you, I got a couple of stats here in front of me. This is what I thought was interesting. Larger screen here, handheld 1080p, 120 FPS, HDR LCD, docked 4K output HDR up to 4K 60, magnetic Joy-Cons, larger buttons, mouse controls, better speakers, 3D audio. Very funny, too. I was just taking notes on Twitter. There's a bunch of different stats. BG, I literally have you here on the top. It says, Nintendo, thank you for adding game chat and modern social features to Switch 2 that we had 20 years ago. So I have that in my notes here. It's so great because I have these other stats that are from Nintendo, and your tweet was right above it, which is great. But I mean, Jay,
it's good. It's good that they catching up with that stuff, but they still behind.
They're behind,
because you got voice chat now, but it's behind a paywall. And they didn't show any way that you can message your friends. So you know what I mean. So you still got to use an outside source to just get in contact with your friends in the simplest way, which is just messaging. But there's a lot of things that I liked about the Switch 2. And I am a dock person as well. I got the OLED, I got the original, and I'm in dock mode all the time. That's the way I like to play. The reason why I don't use handheld mode or tabletop mode as much is because one, handheld mode, I don't like the Joy-Cons. The Joy-Cons, I do think it's bigger, but it's still that's the design of the Joy-Cons I don't like. I like the way how it snaps onto this one now, rather than that little, pull it down.
Yeah, I did not care for that at all. Yeah.
But tabletop mode, I will play. I have the OLED as well. I will play, but you can't get like long sessions out of that. One thing I did love, the smallest little thing I did love about the Switch 2 now is that they got a USB-C port on the top that can be used as a charger.
Yes.
And obviously for all the accessories like the camera and whatnot. So I felt like that was a great update because, now somebody can if I want to play in handheld, if I'm in a smaller, closed area, playing tabletop mode and actually have, a proper session playing the game. But internal storage got bumped up. It's still not up to snuff, but I guess that's great for Nintendo. The performance, like I agree with BG. There's some cons here. I'm pretty sure we're going to break that down and talk about that. But at the end of the day, the Switch has some cool games, but the performance of these games were not great. So if you're like a Pokemon fan, if you were Xenoblade Chronicles, there's Bayonetta. If you can get those games performing better now with the Switch 2, it's an easy buy for a lot of diehard Nintendo fans. You know what I mean? So like just off of that strength alone, I'm looking to even buy one because I'm just like, I would love to play Tears of the Kingdom in a way better frame rate from what I'm seeing in the previews and whatnot. You know what I mean? So that aspect alone, as some people like to sweep that under the rug, or it's not as big, or it's like a minuscule kind of thing. But in a lot of people's eyes, it is a big thing because these games weren't performing great on the Switch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even though you are paying a lot now for them joints. I'm just talking about the hardware. Hardware-wise, it is a good sell because you're getting these older games that play better, but the new games also look good and it's running at proper frame rate, quote-unquote, proper frame rate and resolution.
Yeah, no, Jay, I think a lot of the points you made really are valid. Now, it's funny. I heard what BG had to say, Jay, and I got to say, the way you were describing how you kind of took in that presentation of the Nintendo Direct, that's kind of how I sat back. But I was enjoying going through Twitter, and I enjoyed Death Singer, who is very well known. Death Singer, I don't want to speak for you here at all, but you've been very vocal for the past few months on how you're not, you love Nintendo games, you're not necessarily a fan of Nintendo, the company, and how they kind of do business. But I was shocked, Death Singer, when you said you were like, well, count me in, I'm there day one. So kind of, how did you go through your emotions, Death Singer? Because everybody was following you and reading along when you did that tweet.
Well, the thing is, my problem with the Switch was there's some great JRPGs, like Fire Emblem, which is exclusive to the Switch. I absolutely love the series. But everything on there was 30 FPS, right? And when you play these games at 60, you realize, this is what it could be. So when they went into the Switch 2 presentation, I was like, okay, so you're claiming all this DLSS, yada, yada, yada. Okay, show me. And they showed me, and I was like, you got me. Your games will be at 60 and 120. I am so down. Thank you very much, Nintendo. You finally did what I asked you to do. And then they showed some games. Metroid was looking fire.
Yes.
The FromSoft game was looking great. The third-party releases, not too bothered about because I've played them all on PC or whatever. So I was like, okay, so I'm going to I'll like buy the small JRPGs that always release on there, like the Fire Emblems, whatnot, Xenoblade. All these games will be running crisp cream, 60 FPS, I'm totally there. But then they released the price at the end, and that's when the roller coaster came to a crashing halt real quick. But overall, I think that like the tech they put in there with the DLSS, all that's brilliant. So overall, because I know we're not doing the cons, overall they got me. And they still got me because I looked at the UK prices and I'm in because it's within my expectations. So
Well,
they still got me.
And I appreciate each one on the panel because, we're going to open up this discussion big time when it gets into costs and everything like that. So, Nib, I'll go to you next here. Nib, I want to hear what your take is on the hardware as well. And then maybe you can kind of segue us into cost and how things kind of made a bit of a downward spiral towards the middle end, if you will, of the Nintendo Direct. What'd you think, Nib?
Hardware-wise, it's subtle, but I love the look of the hardware itself. It just looks a bit more polished and refined. Like,
it does,
like a bit more mature and adult. And the screen, it's like nearly 2 inches diagonally wider, which is actually quite a substantial amount.
Absolutely,
to move up. I love that. It has DLSS, but more than that, it also has VRR display. I know it's not OLED, but I've heard it's a really good LED display. But the fact that it's VRR or G-Sync or whatever the equivalent is. So even if it does drop frames here and there, depending on where the VRR limit is, we should not really be able to feel them as much. So it should feel much smoother to play, even if you do get drop frames, which is a big thing for me because like Bari was saying earlier, the performance on the Switch was sometimes ropey as shit. So hopefully that can be remedied. But overall, like from a hardware perspective, I really like it. I do think some of the performance and the examples I saw of games running and stuff, and even afterwards, hasn't blown me away. I was expecting a bit more. Maybe I was expecting too much. But that's from the hardware side. From the software side, am I sold on it? Not necessarily. I definitely will get one. But all it is for me personally, like I really want that new tentpole Zelda or Mario game, like Super Mario game. And when that happens, or when I think the FromSoft game is coming out in 2026, I think if I so maybe when that comes out, I'll get it too. But just Donkey Kong and Mario Kart and stuff, I'm not sure if that's enough for me to invest in right at this minute, especially with the costs it is. But certainly a lot of promise and great looking hardware.
So I'll go back to the top here. BG, we got to kind of talk about it because I like that Nib said that the way that they did refine the hardware, it does look more adult. It does look like they're maybe not just catering to, because if you look at it, they're really in style with the Lenovo now and the ROG Ally, and the Steam Deck still has a bit of a unique look because it has the touchpad, the mouse touchpad on the side. But realistically speaking, here when it comes down to it, they kind of they cracked the door. And it's, to be honest with you, listen, BG, I think you were definitely on the show right around the time we went from, the $60 a game to $70 a game. And we had a long discussion about it. And, we were at the $60 threshold for a very long time. I'm not going to say exactly, 15 years, maybe it was longer. Mm-hmm. And, we said, listen, everything in the world has gone up in the past 15 years. It doesn't matter what you're talking about. It doesn't sneakers, socks, pants. Let's not talk about eggs. Okay. So, my point being is, at the end of the day, we understood that this is an interesting and dangerous slope because we were kind of joking about how GTA 6 could hit $100, not because of anybody else threatening to go up there or they need to make their money back. We know that everyone's going to buy GTA 6 probably on 3 different platforms, so they're going to triple dip here. It wasn't that. It was just how much could they actually get for this game. With Nintendo doing this, and it was funny, BG, because I think we were saying it just before the show. Everybody was saying, drop the price on their thing. And I mean, listen, the one thing I've learned is Xbox did a 360, they did a 180 back in the day and got rid of the camera and listened to the audience and changed things from the DRM rules and regulations back in 2013, 2014. Sony was getting blasted at the beginning of this generation. They stood fast. They didn't change. I don't care how many people wrote. I don't think Nintendo's going to drop their price, not one penny. So, if in fact this ends up being the blockbuster smash that everybody thinks it's going to be, like we said, I'm seeing people right now saying the holiday is going to be absolutely unbelievable for the Switch 2, maybe number one over even PlayStation 5 and Pro, which is very, very possible. What happens, BG, at this point? Because if you have a pizza stand down the road from me, and you're charging $3 a slice, and I'm $150, and I see that you're getting $3, you know we're going home that night and we're talking about raising our prices because I'm like, well, we just set a new bar here, right? And people are okay with it. So what's going to happen? And I shouldn't say that because, you know, sometimes when you say you're making an art, same thing with pizza, right? You have a good sauce, when you have a good recipe, doesn't mean the guy down the street can copy it. Is Nintendo that arrogant that they know that their IP is that worthy that they can do this? That's quite a jump is what I'm saying. When here we are, we just went to $70 5 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's a green light. Floodgates are definitely going to open. It's not going to work out for everybody though. You got to understand that you may not be able to get away with charging $80 or $70, whatever it is, for your game. You gotta know how powerful your IP is, how in demand your IP is. Nintendo knows, they know they have it like that. They've tested the waters, and they know people buy their games for whatever price,
Yep.
even if it's robbery, you know, and all that is all up to interpretation. But they've tested the waters, like the whole what was it, the Mario package when they put it was 2 or 3 Mario games and from might have been N64 and they resold it for a full $60.
Yep.
They've tried it with that whole cardboard situation.
That's right. I forgot about
they've tested the market with a bunch of products.
Yeah.
And we know they don't
$70.
Yeah, and we know they don't drop their prices.
Not at all.
So like the Mario Kart 8 or what are we up to now?
8. We're on 8. It's 8, yeah.
Okay, that's 8
million
okay.
sales.
Yeah. That was $60 when it came out, I think, because it originally launched on the Wii U, if I remember correctly. And
Wii U and 3DS.
you may be able to get it lower than 60, but I think the actual retail price from Nintendo for a game that came out like over 10 years ago is still $60. I think if you try to buy it digitally on their store, it's still 60. Even try to get physical, it might be still close to 60. So they're like, listen, y'all are going to buy our games no matter what. So we can be the first ones to usher in an $80 price point, even though I think it's physical only. And I saw something about something being $90. I didn't see what game is actually $90. I'm not sure if that's true or
I think Mario Kart physical is 90 euros in Europe and potentially $90 in the States.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Their IP is powerful and they know they can get away with it. I mean, and it's going to create because then others can make the argument, other publishers can make the argument, right? Because Nintendo IP are not that expensive to make. We see all these other, AAA games, 250 million, 300 million to make or whatever it is, insane amounts.
Yep.
And they've been charging 70. Nintendo, their profit margins on their games has always been great because they don't cost that much to make. So if you're charging 80 for Mario Kart, which anybody could see, like, listen, this game didn't cost a ton, like record-breaking amount to make.
Right.
And then you have other publishers who their games are cost like 300 million. They're gonna look at their games like if they can do it unwarranted because your games aren't super expensive to make, we should be doing it.
That's right.
Even though it may not benefit them because their IP may not be as popular or powerful. But like GTA is one that's could definitely get away with it. I don't know if they're actually going to do it, but they could. Even before this, they could get away with it. But now they're looking at it like, oh, we definitely can do this.
Exactly. It's funny. So, Nib, you got to take it from here. BG kind of set you up perfectly. That's exactly what you were saying is what BG, the point of the matter that you said before I give it to Nib is that's when you look at the cost, total cost, that's labor, your quality, marketing, the whole nine, the money that actually goes into, let's say Mario Kart, the new Mario Kart is substantially less than, let's just say, what's going into Intergalactic, right? So, Nib, when you look at it, what's the breakdown real quick for the audience? Because you did a really great job of breaking down the big three.
I'll give like a summary. So basically, like let's just say the best-selling tentpole exclusives on the three platforms. On PlayStation and Xbox, they typically have between 1,500 and 3,500 to 4,000 people credited to developing these projects. All right, so up to 4,000 people, above 1,500. I'll just ask the panel. Mario Kart 8, which has sold 67 million copies.
Yep.
Guess how many people are credited to its development?
I know, but I'll let you reveal.
I'll say 100.
298. So
Okay.
298 and 67 million sales, whereas these other platforms can have 4,000 people developing a game and get a fraction of those sales, like 1/3 of those sales. So like when I went through all the data and some of the top highest selling games, the average, I think it was the top 6 or 7 best selling games on Switch, the average number of developers that were had contributed to said games was 700, and the average sales across those games was 40 million. With PlayStation, the average sales, I believe, was 23 million, and the average number of developers was just over 2,000. So
just under 2,000, wasn't it? I'm seeing here you have 1,747.
That was not including the newer titles.
Okay.
When including the newer titles, which
Okay.
will eventually sell more than the older titles.
Very true.
It's just a passage of time. Yeah. So when you're including the newer titles, then it's over 2,000, 2.5 times to 3 times what Nintendo Switch's sort of production is for less sales, 43% less sales. And then on the Xbox side, obviously, I don't have the sales figures. But on the Xbox side, funny enough, it was the average number of developers for those projects, the sort of like what I believe to be the best selling based on what data I do have, was 2,200 something, or 3.2 times the number of average developers that make a Switch game. And obviously, again, it would be substantially fewer sales because their games sell less than any of the three.
Right.
And then I also did some multi-platform, the best-selling multi-platform games do sell better than the best-selling Switch games, but they also have higher production costs. I think it was like 4 point something times more people associated with the development for versus the amount of profit they make. So still, Nintendo games are far more profitable.
Absolutely.
Than. Yeah, well, at least obviously not in total, but in terms of margin versus the number of people who made it, than even the biggest multi-platform games. So again, I will preface by saying I will buy a Nintendo Switch 2 and I will buy those games because I understand that value is subjective and ultimately people are not buying Switch games because they want state-of-the-art graphics, tech pushing, boundary pushing, high production tentpole titles. They just want quality gameplay and fun games, right? And that is the reason I will be buying them. It's like you buy your Mario Kart or your Zelda or whatever for the gameplay. So I understand that value is subjective, but from a margins perspective, if any of the three or any publisher has the least right to increase their prices, it is Nintendo. Because they have exponentially higher margins and fewer developers and production, whatever costs associated with their first-party games. So for them to actually have the highest prices at the moment in the entire industry is quite hilarious and also quite scathing, like from reputationally, because they're already making money hand over fist and the margins are so crazy. Like at its peak, Nintendo was like 40-50% profit margins. Well, just to give context, PlayStation is 7 to 9% profit margins, and we don't know what Xbox is. But that's the level of margin that they are able to extract from consumers. And ultimately, like BG said, they know the value of their IP. Yes, it is greedy, and yes, they are taking advantage. But ultimately, if you are in business, and I'm not justifying this, I'm just saying, why wouldn't they, right? They're going to push the boat out as much as they can. And they also have this particular sector to themselves, this hybrid portability sector, outside of Steam Decks and stuff like that, in the console space, and certainly with their IP, they have that corner niche, the family-friendly niche kind of to themselves. And in a way, all these platforms are kind of cutting out a niche for themselves as well, because slowly PlayStation is taking the high performance sector to themselves as well, with Xbox kind of capitulating their market share and also bringing their games to PlayStation and possibly Switch too as well. So, they kind of are all in their own little lanes. And I have a feeling more and more consumer advantage will be taken. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I think the one thing, and Jay, it's funny. It's not necessarily the old slogan of like, vote with your wallet. It's not necessarily that, but I will say this to kind of ride along with what Nib was saying. The one thing I think when you start to get to $80, $90 is that I have to say, shout out to Mash. Mash, thank you for those 20 gifted memberships. I appreciate that. Great to have Mash back in the chat. Also, super chats. I'm going to get to those in a second. I appreciate you guys. But Jay, when it comes down to it, I mean, listen, Deathinger was saying it before the show. I think we all kind of agreed. If someone doesn't agree, by all means, speak up. I'm not getting the Switch 2 for Cyberpunk or Borderlands 4, okay? I understand that there's a market out there of people. I know we all say to enjoy the best of the best, you should own all consoles. We say that a lot of the times. But realistically, in even in my real life, people that I know, they have one console in their home. They may switch from Xbox to PlayStation, PlayStation to Xbox, or just have a Switch. So for people that have a Switch, I get the third party. But Jay, where I'm going with this is that when you start to breach $80, $90 a game, it is going to be a lot more selective. I will be playing. Listen, I can tell you right now, I'm buying Metroid. I'm going to be buying any Mario game, any Zelda game, any Kirby game. Any of those like Donkey Kong game. Going to play all of that. Absolutely, bring it on. I'll have all of those. Guarantee it. But when there's something that's maybe absolutely a newer kind of game that I'm kind of on the fence about, I don't know if you or anybody in the panel feels like taking a $90, let's see how this is. You know what I mean? I don't know if you're in the mood for that.
Yeah, like first and foremost, yeah, you should get all the consoles except for Xbox. You don't need that. But
Jay.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, when you're hitting $80, $90, you start to question a lot of things. And I'm a person where if you like a franchise, if you like a developer, I'm all for go ahead and buying it. But yeah, Nintendo is definitely crossing the line. Cause even Nib, when you said what you said, I didn't hear that confidence from you. You know what I mean? When you was just like, yeah, Nintendo fans, they're just buying the game just to have fun. Nah, brother, $80, $90, it better be more than just fun.
Yeah, but I'm gonna be honest with you.
That joint better make my eyes bleed. Okay.
I agree, but here's the thing, right? That it's a weird thing to say, but in a way, because the games hold their value, you can beat them, and sell them on. I don't mean trade them in, but sell them privately on eBay or Gumtree. And you can get most of your money back. Like, it's not.
Nah, we ain't doing that, Nib. You might do that over there across the pond, but over here, we ain't got no time to eBay or whatnot. You ain't got no time for all that.
Save money. You got to save money. You got to put in the time. That's how it is.
That's too much work. Too much work, man. You know what I mean? You got to create count. I got it. It's just too much work. Yo, at the end of the day, this is what I feel like. Like I said, people's gonna buy what they buy. If you enjoy Nintendo products, if you enjoy Nintendo games, go for it. But in the totality of things, especially when it pertains to the console side of things, I feel personally that as console gamers, we have to speak up more, because it's not just going to be the price for the games that's going to go up for Nintendo. If they're getting away with that with Mario Kart, imagine when a new Zelda come out or whatever come out, a new Mario 2D or 3D game. But you think that with the new Nintendo Switch 2 social features, where you're going to have voice chat and video chat, and then you're going to have the GameCube addition to the virtual console games, you think that price ain't going to go up too? You know what I mean? Yo,
yep.
The things is going to go up, man. And the part of the thing is with Nintendo is that the price is going up, it's costing more, and it's less than the other consoles. I mean, it's more than the other consoles. It does less than what the other consoles do, but it's costing more.
PS5 digital
you know what I mean?
Is $350 now, right?
Yeah, it's not a good look. Like, you know what I mean? It's not a good look. Like, at the end of the day, I feel like gamers were all hypocrites. We're all hypocrites at the end of the day, because we'll say what we say, but if there's a game that comes out and you want it, you're gonna go out and buy it.
That's right.
I will say, PlayStation is in a actually quite a sweet spot right now, right? Because we already discussed Xbox. You know, I'm sure they'll hate me saying this, but whatever, Astro Cyborg and whoever. But GTA 6 is going to be the biggest release. And I don't think the games that Nintendo is coming with the Switch 2, yes, obviously people are going to buy the Switch who want the Switch, etc. But they're not like to the level of GTA 6, right? And that's only available on PlayStation and Xbox, right? And now they've got this $350 price point, which is like $100 below the fucking Switch 2. So if you know Timmy, Tommy, whatever you guys call like the random names, if they want a console and the biggest it product, I don't know that anything Nintendo comes out with, especially without Zelda and Mario, is necessarily going to match the hype and the interest of GTA 6. And I kind of think like the de facto platform to buy and play that on is going to end up being PlayStation. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the adoption rate of the Switch 2 is, how it doesn't. I'm sure initially it will sell out. They always do. Even the Wii U sold out on pre-orders. But I mean, like a bit longer term, what the what the market is saying, and especially in comparison to PS5, because PS5, yeah, it's done really well. But let's be honest, up until GTA 6, there's a lot of people haven't transitioned yet, and a lot of people buying the PS5 even now are mostly new. Half new people. 42% of the last quarter never owned a PlayStation. So imagine when all the PS4 people move over as well. It's gonna be interesting.
The thing is, with Nintendo, they have a lot of beloved franchises that people will question their values or they question their stances on. I would never buy an $80 game or a $90 game, depending on what game they really like. And they have a lot of those games where people will shell out the money to go and buy it. You know what I mean? I don't know what the cost of the Pokemon game going to be. Shit, that's a game that they might get away with $80 too. Because that's a game that sell 12 million, 20 million, you know what I mean, in its lifetime.
So no, Jay, you make a good point. Wise, welcome to the show, buddy. I don't know if you were able to listen in before you jumped in here, but kind of just getting the idea of we kind of went over the hardware here. Now we're kind of getting into the pricing here, Wise, and you've always been a big proponent of you're always gonna, nostalgia is a hell of a drug for you, Wise, but I don't know if you're necessarily, how do you feel about the $80-$90 price tag with games? I'm sure just being the nostalgic gamer you're gonna buy a Switch 2 anyway.
Yeah, so this reminds me of a song from the late 70s, early 80s. It's probably gonna pre-age all of you guys here. It's called The Second Time Around. So that's what I remember when I heard that. I was singing that song when I was. I
hope you don't have any glasses.
Those vocals, guys. Those vocals. Don't sign them too quick. Go ahead.
I was singing that song through the whole presentation. Nintendo has always been a fan of pricing their games whatever they wanted it to be. So, like, I don't know if you remember, but back in the NES era, famously so, the original Legend of Zelda, the gold cartridge, was $70 in 86.
Yeah, people forget this, Wise. I'm glad you bring this up.
Right.
Prices were expensive back then. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what is $70 now? Today's currency, what, $200 or $150 or some shit like that right now, right?
It's not 200, but it's definitely up there.
It's up there, right? So Nintendo's always been a proponent of, stratifying their prices for their games. Now, when they were sort of behind the eight ball in all the other generations, they weren't able to do that. And so they sort of, I guess, accustomed to the 49, 59, 69 rat race. And so now that they've sort of gotten a little bit of a steam into their shoulder, they think that, or a little bit of a headwind, if you will, they think that they are untouchable. I don't know why console companies think this way. I left the entire presentation. I'm probably the biggest Nintendo fanboy on this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I have everything Nintendo. I left totally underwhelmed. I'm like, I'm going to buy it because of FOMO. FOMO is going to compel me to buy it. But there was nothing there. I mean, like the Donkey Kong game isn't coming out till July. All the other games I could either play on the Switch or have already played. Mm-hmm. What they showed for Mario Kart did not look graphically from what I saw, so above and beyond what I'm looking at with Mario Kart 8. So, Am I going to buy it? Yes, but maybe then I am the fault of that because I don't complain. Maybe I should stand up and speak with my wallet. But as you say, nostalgia is a hell of a drug. So I'm going to buy it because of FOMO. But I left totally underwhelmed. I was like, you know what? I can pass for this. And in fact, if I don't get this if I am not able to pre-order, I'm going to still try to pre-order it. But if I can't, it's not a big loss because I think I got a console already, a handheld console in the Ally X that can beat the Nintendo Switch too. So yeah, I was like, okay.
That's interesting to say that you came away not enthralled by it. I got to say, I think except for what me and BG were talking about earlier on in the show, where they didn't drastically change the hardware for the first time or teach you a different way to play, which is what they're notorious for. Outside of that, I think the potential for this console gives them a lot more breathing room as they go forward. 120 frames. I can tell you right now, I think the panel will agree with me. I think we're going to see next year's Call of Duty show up on the Switch. That's for damn sure. So that's going to...
I mean, I think what they did was they upgraded the hardware to allow for current trends. Like that hardware in the original Switch was basically equivalent to a potato, and that's insulting the potato. Okay, that chip came out in 2015. The console itself came out in 2017. The chip was 2 years old when the console came out. So you were behind the eight ball. You were bottlenecking the whole system to begin with. So I think they needed to do this just to allow all of these games, such as your Dooms and your Call of Duties and your whatnots, to even be running on this console. So, kudos to them for, coming to 2023. But, it looked like just something. It just looked really iterative. It didn't look like the original Nintendo. And I told one of my IRLs, I said, it looks like they just phoned it in. I mean, they did the minimum spec upgrade and moved on with their life. I didn't see anything that made me want to get that made me say, okay, I have to have this thing immediately. When I saw Breath of the Wild, when I saw Mario Odyssey, those games.
Wives, knock it off now. Wives, knock it off. You came out here trying to be cool for school. You know your ass is gonna get that goddamn Switch 2 day one. You hear him? He's like, I don't know, man. You getting that shit.
He goes, I didn't come away.
I ain't lying. I ain't fucking lying. My ass is gonna. I had to take off work on the 9th when my wife found out.
He's definitely gonna be in line on the pre-order line. You know he will be. You should podcast right from the line, Wise.
Yeah. Because I'm hearing they're gonna have demo stations up for this joint. I get you, and I agree with a lot of things he's saying. But I'm telling you, the games is what's gonna pull people in, man. The fact that you do have true exclusive games, whenever they hit,
Kart. If you're not into Mario,
everybody loves Mario Kart, though. Who doesn't?
Okay,
everybody
it's good.
That's
okay,
right.
But is it okay? It's not a system seller for me. Okay, it's a good game. I will play it if I already have the system, but I'm not going to go and it's not going to compel me to buy a system. It's just not one of those games that I gravitate towards. Do I enjoy it? Do I play it? Yes, but it's not. What sells me are like your Marios and your Zeldas. That's me though. But I will still buy it. But I'm capping.
I think
you know it's a big seller. Yeah, the Tears of the Kingdom at 1440p, whatever, 60. That's a big seller for a Switch handheld. Yeah, you can play it on PC, but you got to go through all these steps or whatnot. No. And I think Nintendo probably blocked that by now. But the fact that you're going to have 60 frames per second Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, that's going to be a big sell for a lot of people, bro. Real talk.
Okay, who in God's name has not played that game? Who's going to actually? Who in God's name has played that game? Who's going to go back and play that game because you can? It maintains a 60 in the Korok Forest. Who the hell is going to do that? That's a 50.
Nintendo fans.
Yeah, Nintendo. I was going to say, Nintendo fans.
The welcome call. It's hilarious.
I mean, I've already played it at 60, so it's redundant to me.
Oh, there it is, everybody. That's like I had to throw. I was waiting for that comment.
No, but like in terms of software, like I really don't like. I'll get Mario Kart because everyone plays Mario Kart. Everyone and their mother plays Mario Kart. We're gonna be sat at Discord playing Mario Kart. That's gonna happen. But it's like a lot of the games, like even the Hyrule Warriors game, Age of Imprisonment, which is the prequel. Which they're saying is the prequel to it. I know it's a Musu game, and people are like, "Oh no, I love Musu games. Like Dynasty Warriors is my shit." So, I mean, they got games, but it's not like I'm going to be buying everything. I'll just buy the JRPGs that, like when Fire Emblem comes out, that's a day one cop. But it's
Well, the thing is though, wise. The only thing I would say to you. Oh, just one thing,
no,
Wise, and
can
I'll give you the microphone. The one thing you said is day one. So yes, you always want to have something. That system seller for you may not be Mario Kart. Mario Kart. The reason when Nib gave us those numbers, Mario Kart sold 63 or 64 million copies over the course of many years. That's something that people have been waiting to upgrade, be able to do things. But it's really about the roadmap, right? So you've got the Donkey Kong game, you've got Metroid Prime that people have been waiting for. And this is something I got to give Jay. I had you and I had Persona.
They got to put a release date on that Metro Prime though.
They do. But you and Persona both said this on this show a long time ago. You said wait till the next Switch comes out and they start reselling for full value all the Zelda games and the Mario games again at better FPS and higher resolution, because people were down on PlayStation for doing that. And we're going to get into that in a second. And I want to ask, well, go ahead, Wise. I took the mic from you, but I do have a question for BG. Go ahead.
Well, two things. Now that you mentioned Metroid Prime, first of all, can somebody please teach Nintendo how to make a fucking user interface? What the hell is that?
I don't know what's going on with that.
Thing.
Listen, I
agree with that.
I totally agree with that. One of the things that I said when we were going into this generation, I'm not going to sit here. I just think it comes off as a little bit lazy. When Xbox had their Xbox Series X come out, and it was the same UI as we just left the Xbox One X. And this here is the same thing again with Nintendo. You could turn around and spin it and say, Mooch, how much time are you? I don't know about you guys, but in between games, I'll just have the UI, the user interface with the whether it be the media or it be the games or friends and everything with PlayStation. And it's nice to have something different when you take home that new $500 box, right? It's just kind of I think it's great. I really do, right?
Amen.
But when you have the Switch 2 it looks like it just looks a little bit more polished, but it is bland. BG, I got to ask you, because shout out to Blaze 4K in the super chat here. He says bootleg Bloodborne day one. So listen, BG, I've definitely watched you stream it. Okay, from everything from just Bloodborne all the way through. Anytime there's a Souls game, you're always out there and streaming the game. So this game, and we talked a little bit behind the scenes, so I kind of know how you feel, but the audience doesn't. What do you think about this game right now? You're talking about a game that is PvPvE. Right, so it's going to be I don't want to say it's not fair to say this, but it's going to be very similar to what the new DLC Elden Ring is going to be in Night Rain. So what do you think about something like that? And also, we were saying this also behind the scenes. Do you think third party's really going to be able to hit these 120, 120 frames, 60 frames, or is it going to kind of chug along a bit?
No, that the 120 is they may have like maybe a mode for it, but the visuals are going to suffer greatly. It's not going to be an ideal way to play the game, honestly. So I don't see most people doing that. I don't see most people playing that way. And Elden Ring, Blaze knows this as a Souls fan. I've always been a huge Souls fan. I don't like their multiplayer. I play it for the single player. Blaze has always tried to get me to play their multiplayer. Like, I'm not even buying Night Rain. I'm like, nope, that's just some multiplayer or co-op, and I'm like, no, I'm not here for that. So, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't really see the Nintendo fan base supporting it that much, because, and that's not like hating, but I don't think that's the biggest fans of these Souls games are on PC and PlayStation. That's just fact. So I honestly don't see that game staying exclusively too long. I think it's gonna go to PlayStation and PC pretty quickly, if I'm being honest.
You just got clipped up, BG. Just let you know. Clip.
hey, it's true though. It's true. We know where the biggest Souls fans are because historically where the games are. There's not a deep history of Souls games on Switch. I think Dark Souls 2 might have went there, and it might have been like that, a special version of it, maybe.
Oh yeah, well they didn't buy that. I don't think they bought that.
Yeah, like
BG, I got a phone call from the Nintendo ninjas. They need your address. So can you please provide that for me.
They know where to find me.
The Nintendo.
And the game. Listen, the game doesn't look great. It doesn't. I mean, it don't look great, bro. Like because I was looking at it, I was like, yo, the first thing I said on my stream when I was watching, I was like, is this Liza P? Because Liza P and Bloodborne have a lot of crossover. They're pretty similar.
Don't disrespect Liza P like that, BG.
No, Liza P is fire. It has a lot of crossover with Bloodborne, but
as far as the visuals, that game do not look like no Liza P. Look way better than what they showed in that Switch 2.
No, I'm just talking about like the art the style, the design, the Victorian,
It is
like
aesthetic,
Victorian,
yeah.
whatever it is. So it looks similar to that. But yeah, it just don't look great, bro. I was like, the frame rate didn't look the best, and the just the visuals, and I was like, and listen, I love From Software. People think I don't. I just have high expectations from them, and they just always reusing the same assets. And it's like, yes, that game, people thought it was Bloodborne because it looks extremely similar to Bloodborne, like same assets. It literally looked like they ripped certain parts of that game of Bloodborne and just like copied and pasted in there. And it's just like the
same
reusing
long
of assets.
arms.
Yeah, the reusing of assets
same thing.
with From Software just gets a little bit egregious, and nobody holds them accountable for it. It
Yeah.
just gets a little bit egregious, but I'm not interested in it. I see it'll go multi-platform pretty quickly. So that's, but
See,
yeah,
I thought
it's not.
I thought
if
that
it was
too,
single
BG.
player, I would buy it day one. But that's it.
You were the first person to actually say it out loud. If there's someone on Twitter that said it, days ago, that's fine. But I was gonna actually tweet out, but I didn't want the hate. I was gonna say, so how long is this gonna be exclusive for Switch? I think that game goes everywhere as well. Eventually, I don't think it stays there. Shout out to Sheffield Sphere. He says the Portal taught us OLED is not needed to have a great screen for that screen size, though. That's very true. I don't know if you guys I know that Jay Bari has one. I don't know if I think Wise has one. Nib, you do too. The PS Portal screen is phenomenal, and it's not an OLED.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a nice looking screen.
I love the PlayStation Portal screen. I think it's a great screen, but I'll take an OLED screen over it any day.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take the OLED, absolutely. But I mean, there has been technology leaps in the LCD world where you can. It's a great second, right? It's a great second. It's not bad. So I agree with Sheffield Sphere there on that one. Easy E says Switch U. That was when we were talking about different names to come up with. Not a great name there, Switch U. That'll send them back. Mr. Grimm says I'll hold off getting the Switch 2 right away because we all know they'll eventually come out with an OLED version. I can wait. Well, I mean, I do feel history repeats itself, guys. So I don't necessarily think that I'm going to sit here and wait 4 years, for the OLED. The OLED came out halfway through the generation of the Switch. Am I right on that? Or maybe even a little later. I don't think it was even the midpoint.
I mean, like that.
So
because the light came out first.
I mean, again, it depends on how much of a Nintendo fan. When it comes to me, and Wise, I'll group you with me on this. I mean, I just grew up with Nintendo. For me, it's like, so I'm going to sit here and have every platform in the house. I have Xbox, I have a PC, I have PlayStation Pro, and then I'm not gonna get the new. And this is the first time in a while they're going to be bringing some of the beloved favorites out there right away. I think we're going to get, you got a Mario Kart game, and Metroid's. I'm a big fan of Metroid games. Like that's a big deal for me. The Bloodborne thing, I'm definitely going to try it out. I agree with BG. I definitely think it's going to have a bit of its pacing issues. And it's definitely not going to be the biggest stunner visual wise from Software. Shout out to Mash. He says, remember to hit that like button and sub if you haven't. Thank you, Mash. I appreciate that. And also, thank you for the gifted membership.
The biggest disappointments to me with that whole Switch showing, like I said, there's a lot of great things. I feel like they're going in the right direction with some stuff. There's a few questionable things as well. But for me, like the two biggest disappointments are there was no trophy system announced. Nintendo not catching up with that. And this console's launching with no 2D or 3D new Mario game. So I was just like, whoa.
That's shocking.
That would have been like a surefire, guesstimate that, okay, you're going to have a 2D, 3D Mario game at least. But no game at launch for that.
Yeah, they didn't mention anything.
The thing with the Switch 2 is like, there isn't any killer apps releasing with it. I don't think, of course, there's Mario Kart, and people are going to be like, oh, Mario Kart. But it's strange they wouldn't have. I mean, they have the Hyrule Warriors, which is a prequel to the Zelda games, but that's not going to do as much as a proper Zelda game. So I find it curious how they didn't really have a big launch exclusive, unless they just assume Mario Kart is just going to carry it away, because Mario Kart is the best-selling game on the Switch, undisputed. So I think that'll do it, but the Switch has many issues because, like, they got the cam, the mic is going to be absolutely horrible. I mean, I generally don't play multiplayer on the Switch anyway. I mean, the only multiplayer game worth playing for me is Mario Kart. But outside of that, it's like, okay, I'll play the FromSoft game just out of curiosity since it's there. But it's, I don't know, the Switch, that pricing is still a bit iffy to me. But considering I'll only buy like one, but bear in mind the amount of money I save off PC. Like, I could put that towards, the odd Switch game here and there because, Rayman Gaming CD keys exists. So it's like, I'm making savings there. So I can pass on the savings to Nintendo, I guess.
I like how you take the savings from one game and you put it in the jar labeled "I get ripped off" over here. Is that how you handle your affairs there?
Well, yeah, I mean,
who the hell does that?
Well, I mean,
I've never bought something at a store and I was like, this is way too expensive. But, 4 years ago, I bought something that was on sale, so I'll take it.
Well, no, it makes perfect sense because it's like, I save 20% on the next, let's say, what Doom comes out. I save 20% on that. I could put that 20% to Hyrule Warriors. Like, a little bit here and there. Balance the books.
Well, so listen to this. Moonshot says Nintendo going to set a new precedent. They done need a slap upside their head, $115 Canadian, gents. Yeah, I don't know.
The reason why you have a Mario Kart game, because that's going to encourage people to get into their online service. Because even though the chat is, you need the online service, you don't need the online service for the first year. I think it's until 2026 that kicks in. But if you playing something like a Mario Kart, you know what I mean? You're going to want to play with your friends. You're going to buy the multiplayer online, Switch online anyway. You know what I mean? So even though they delaying that requirement for the game chat a year, people still going to buy into it because they got a Mario Kart game that's pretty popular. That's going to be a much bigger game, and the FOMO going to get people to play and get into the game. So
Chris Righteous is making some good points, and Jay, I know you were talking to Chris. Shout out to Chris Righteous. We got to get him back on the show. He says Odyssey was later. Breath of the Wild was launch day. So that's true. We kind of all have that's that short-term memory of ours. We apologize, Chris. He's right. Yeah, there's definitely. Listen, if you don't think there's going to be a Mario game coming down the pipe at some point, no pun intended there, it'll happen. Shout out to Full Sweat Tryhard. He said, here's some cash to make up for those $80 games. You're out of your goddamn minds, Nintendo. Shout out to Full Sweat Tryhard. I appreciate that. I'll tell you, when it comes down to it at the end of the day, this is it really is a dangerous slope. And I'm more concerned about what's going to happen with the industry from this. You know what I mean? Listen, we've said this before. So Sony, Xbox, third party all went $70 back in 2020, 2021, right? In that era, depending on when their first parties first released. And now you have a situation where even Game Pass, and I know a lot of people don't like to talk about it, but Game Pass has gone up from $10 a month, pardon me, then it went to $16.99, now it's $19.99, and I you can almost bet at some point that'll be at $24.99, and after that $29.99 for Ultimate at least. Shout out to Lord Metroid. Anyone thinking this won't sell is pretty naive. Now Lord Metroid happens to be, he knows this, he isn't hiding, big time Nintendo fan. I don't think anybody is disputing its sales. But I do want to talk about the tech a little bit here. Jay, you were saying this. When it comes down to it, I'm not really playing a whole lot of multiplayer. I mean, even when I'm playing Mario Kart, I'm not going to lie to you. It's one of the games that I just absolutely love. I try to buy as many of the Joy-Cons and other, like, sometimes they're first party, sometimes they're third party controllers. I like playing that, quadrants on the TV, if you will. So that's a lot of fun there. I don't really care. But Jay, that microphone and that camera, that camera's from about 7 or 8 years ago, 10 years ago? Where'd that camera come from? What are they doing?
No,
maybe 20.
20. Thanks, BG. I'm like, what? I'm trying to be nice. You're right.
Didn't Logitech make that same camera like 10 years ago or something? So that's what I'm saying.
It's on a stand and it's just bulky. And who's going to have that out by their television set?
What is it? Is it 1080p?
Who cares?
I'm pretty sure probably.
Shit could be 8K.
Did you see the photos that they were taking? Oh my god, those were so
horrible. You know what Nintendo did? I saw like a custom piranha plant one.
I saw that too.
Bruh. Like as dog shit as camera looks, yo, people going buy that up. I ain't buying
Hey,
it.
Mo-
But people gonna
Mooch,
buy that. Shut up, bro.
What's up, singer?
I looked at
Yeah.
the price of things, right?
Yeah.
So I added it all up because
What do you got?
Nintendo's got a Nintendo.
Yes.
As Nintendo always Nintendo. So I was
Yes.
like, okay, let me picture this, right? I want the Pro Controller because the Pro Controller was the best thing about the Switch one. Like the Pro Controller was great. I loved playing games with it. So you pay 75 for that. You pay 50 for the camera. I don't know why you would. Because you're gonna have some like 12-year-old giving you the middle finger in
Singer.
Call of Duty or something. What?
Singer, the Pro Controller for the Switch works with the Switch 2. The
Oh,
original.
thank goodness! Oh,
Yeah, the only
yes, let's
difference
go.
between the Pro Controller
That's
and the
great.
Pro Controller with that comes out with the Switch 2 is that the one with the Switch 2 has a C button. For
The chat
group
button.
but that's it.
I don't care.
That's it.
I don't
Everything
care.
else is the same.
What-
Oh, back buttons as well. Programmable back buttons.
Don't need them with the Switch.
No.
I'll be playing single player games anyway. But it's like then you have 75 for that if you were buying it if you didn't have a Switch Pro Controller, and then you have 50 for the camera. Don't know why you would, because people are gonna do some slinging, getting their things out online to other people. It's gonna be a horrible experience if they implement that in multiplayer.
Them
game.
party chats about to be PlayStation late at night.
Yeah. You
Well,
could
at
have
least we don't-
people doing all-
At least we can turn the phone off, right? At least
only
that's a good thing.
only the real ones remember PlayStation late at night.
It's
You know what I mean? Live at
This is
PlayStation.
True.
It's gonna be if they implement it in all multiplayer games though, that'll be wild. You'll see people clapping cheeks whilst you're playing Fortnite or something. it'll be people are gonna
Hey,
do
I'm
so
down for that.
stupid shit.
Hey, I'm down for that online play. I don't mind that. You know,
So-
they banned Pornhub in Alabama, so I need something. You know, there you go.
So let me ask this question real quick, BG. Listen, look, a lot of people who are even writing me on Twitter right now are like, "Oh, you guys are saying this." That listen, everybody on the panel has already said they're gonna get a Switch 2. Even Wise, who said he wasn't enthralled, is still gonna take the day off from work and get in line and pre-order the bad boy. So my question, right? My question,
I have
BG,
to
is
because I got to sleep with the dog somewhere. Otherwise,
That's
I can't
right.
sleep with the dogs. Shit.
so there you go, Wise. BG, my question for you is this. So just to give a little bit of constructive criticism here, like there's no way, BG, that whenever you do a direct or you do an E3 performance, you're always putting your best foot forward. We used to say this all the time in the E3 days. Remember when we used to see PlayStation and Xbox up there and they present their game on stage? We were like, oh, that's a PC. They're definitely showing that on a PC. Remember we used to say it all the time. My point is, but they were putting their best foot forward. BG, while I was listening to the presentation of the Nintendo Direct this week, the chat, the volume and the sound coming from the chat that they were illustrating, and even when they were showing the people's faces that were floating in the different games that were specified, it didn't sound and look that good. And that's their best foot forward. They could have had someone on a microphone like we are right now, just sounding as clear as day. And then when you get home, you're like, it doesn't sound like that. Well, that's part of propaganda. False, but nonetheless. So my point being to you is, I mean, did Nintendo just do this as an afterthought? I mean, because no, they didn't. It didn't sound like. Was there going to be dedicated headsets? Are they going to try to make it? Because there are certain games, like being Mario Kart for one, where you would want to play with friends, and maybe they're not all living in your house. So, I mean, is this a pass, or it's just like, or are we just going to kind of take the stance that Death Singer had and be like, you know what? I'm just playing single player games. I don't care.
Yeah, I definitely don't think Nintendo did this as an afterthought. I don't think that's the way that they work. I think this is like their true intention of what they wanted to what they wanted to show off. But they've their online systems and infrastructure has never been the best. So a lot of it looks dated, right? A lot of it did look like, Packard Bell,
Yes.
Windows 95 shit, like with the microphone and in-game chat. Oh, well, shout out to the Xbox 360, literally 20 years ago. But that's the thing. They've always been behind. It's like they're going to continue to be behind, and they don't really suffer from it too much. Like we suffer from it because it's like as people who still enjoy their games, right? I'm not a diehard Nintendo fan. I'm like, man, like I would love some basic online features and not things that feel archaic, but they know where their true fans lie and what their true fans want, and they'll tolerate everything else as long as they get their Zeldas and Mario's, and everything else is secondary to them. So,
Well,
that-
BG,
I don't think they like half-assed it or half-baked it. This is just their intention.
that's their intention. But the thing is, let me throw the one curveball. Shout out to Magnum Gaming with the super chat. He says Call of Duty's going to find a home on the Switch 2 with its Joy-Con mouse features. Now, maybe I don't think he's kidding with the mouse features. He may be serious there. But take the mouse features away. We can talk about that too. But I'm just trying to say, BG, when it comes down to it, communication on a game like Call of Duty, I listen. Phil's already came out. He doesn't tweet a lot like he used to anymore. But when he did those few, he's like, our collaboration with Nintendo is strong, or whatever he was saying. So my point being is that this is a sure as shit. This is going to be on Switch too. Next November, we're going to see, whatever it is, Modern Warfare 4 or whatever they're going to call it. That's going to be on Switch too. Not having a decent chat, and they're not going to regulate their chat. I mean, it's just going to be chaotic. Again, we're going back 20 years. I would have thought if we were working for them, BG, right? You'd say, listen to me, Mooch, we don't need this, okay? I got a Zelda game coming out. I got Donkey Kong coming out. I've got Kirby coming out. I don't care. I'm putting it in there because you told me we have to have it in there. I'd say, BG, that's true, but we just signed a very lucrative, we're probably going to make a lot of money on this Call of Duty deal. We got to have a better form of communication installed, and it's just not there. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just think, how are you going to sell Call of Duty when you can't talk? I don't know.
Call of Duty was, what was that one? It was the one on
Wii U.
Call of Duty on the Wii?
Wii U.
Wii U.
Wasn't it Wii U? It was
and
Ghosts.
you could aim using the nunchucks or whatever.
Oh.
And I know it didn't sell a ton, but I don't think Nintendo expects like Call of Duty to sell a ton. I don't think they really expect like major Call of Duty fans to be playing on a Switch. So they're like, it may not be worth the full investment for them to cater their online, for some Call of Duty fans that are just going to play on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation anyway. It's like, they're going to treat it like, I know Call of Duty is a big deal, but they're going to treat Nintendo probably don't look at Call of Duty like the way Sony and Xbox does as this this bankroll. Like, Call of Duty sells a lot. So do our first party games. So what? Like, yeah, and
this is why I disagree with you, BG and Mooch.
What do you got, Jay?
Just looking at the Pro controller, I feel like Nintendo is looking to be a little bit more serious in a competitive online scene. So, like, a game like Call of Duty, it might not be as big on the Xbox. It might not be as big as like how the PlayStation or Xbox or PC is going to be, but it's still going to be comparable because you're going to have the sound features now that's up to snuff. You're going to have the frame rates. The graphics might not be up to snuff, but people don't care about that, right? They care about the frame rate. And now you have a Pro controller that have back buttons, on there. So it's going to be comparable. I don't think it's going to be as bad as back in the day how it was. I feel like they're going to be playing that fine line with COD if they get in COD on this COD, which I'm pretty sure.
I would think they would, because my best thing about Fortnite is when you're playing against Switch players, right? Because they move like AI, which is hilarious. Because they're running at 30 FPS, I'm doing 120, right? And you can see them, and their reaction times are super, super slow. So hopefully, with this, their games will now be at 60 with the Pro controller. People will actually be able to put up a bit of a fight in multiplayer games, because currently, you just know if you're against a Switch player or not. And Call of Duty, I think, will do well. I mean, sure, they have a chat system, and it's locked behind a paywall. But a majority of people have...
People going to be in-game chat.
Yeah, I mean, in-game chat, but people will still have access to it, because majority of people who own a main Switch, they'll have Nintendo Switch Online, right? They're going to have that, because they want access to all the GameCube games that come in now. You want all the old games. You want all the bonuses that come with that. So, and the family plan, because that's big. So... people are going to want to do that. So I think Call of Duty will do fine on the Switch. I think you'll find a home there, because people can actually play it at a decent performance level, which was always a thing with the Switch. So even if they get it to 1080p 60 or whatever they have to do, I mean, it's still going to be a good experience. And on the topic of that 1080, for what BG said before, I think they said it's 120 in handheld, but it's at 1080p. But like playing games in handheld, because it's so close to me, I don't see much of a visual. Like if you had 1080p on a massive ass screen on your 4K TV, I could see it being an issue. But in the handheld mode, I think it's perfectly fine and serviceable as long as the frame rate's there.
So, go ahead, Wise.
Well, I do have a question on all of this regarding the 120 and everything. So I was looking at, and I really don't know, so because I'm not tech savvy, and maybe somebody here can answer this. So if you look at Metroid on the Switch 2 is running at 60 in their graphics mode and 120 in their performance mode, and that took me aback a little bit because like we have both modes in both the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5, PlayStation 5 Pro. But the graphics modes always tend to run in 30 because there's more visual fidelity there, and the performance tends to run around 60. So if this Switch 2 can do 60 for this graphics mode and 120 for the performance mode, like is this the games just that bad quality of graphics that they can pump out these types of frame rates for such a weak, relatively weak box in comparison to your PlayStation 5s and your Xboxes? Like that's my question. Like what is about these games that's allowing this Switch 2 to run it at 60 in the graphics mode and 120 in the performance mode, whereas the PlayStation and the Xbox can only do 30 and 60 in their graphics and performance modes, respectively?
I don't even know why they are doing 120. Like, why have shitty graphics settings and textures and all the rest of it for 120 when you could just do 60 and have better fidelity?
Yeah. Lock 60, yeah.
I don't get it. It's such a weird thing. Like, it's like they don't want direct comparisons or something. I don't know. Like, I don't get it. Like, this is a weird to me.
It's not even HDMI 2.1. It's 2.0.
Is it really?
It is. Yeah.
It's 2.1.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense because they're saying 1080p at 120. That would be 2.0's capability.
No, I mean, Doctor can do it. Doctor can. It can.
I don't know. I don't know. Listen. First of all, let me retract that real quick. I just want to say I don't have that spec in front of me. I didn't see 2.0 or 2.1, but the specs that I do have in front of me continue to say 1080p at 120, 4K 60, and that's something that anybody that has a 4K TV at home, if it's not a 2.1, and it's a 2.0 HDMI, you could still play at 120 frames, but it is going to knock back your resolution, to, I believe, 1080p, maybe certain TVs even further back.
No, they were just saying 60, 1080 60,
okay,
and 1080 120 in handheld mode. And that was my thinking. Like, what type of shaders are they using to do 1080 60 for graphics and 1080 120 for performance in handheld? Who is their shaders? Crayola? Well, I mean, like, what's going on here,
But you also have to remember the games aren't as visual fidelity as like a game release on, like, so typically their games are made in a certain way specifically for the Switch hardware. Like if you look at a Horizon Zero Dawn or Forbidden West, right? And then you look at a Metroid, of course the graphical differences are going to be massive because the hardware difference is massive and the amount of time and money they put into the game. Switch games will look as good as they do, and they do a really good job. Again, I'm trying to look as good as they can, but that's because they're specifically working with that hardware. It's it's just the quality isn't going to be as big as some of these massive AAA games that come out from PlayStation, for example. So it's it's just the way they do things. So their shaders are going to be a bit lower, their graphic settings are going to be a bit lower. But I mean, to be fair, in handheld mode, 1080p does not look bad. I don't know what people are.
I don't think nobody's complaining about the handheld mode. The thing is, like, that's why I'm not really pushing for this whole hybrid handheld future that everybody wants, man.
Yeah.
Pack that shit up, please. You know what I mean? Like, we already limited with the consoles, but you're going to be even more limited if you want this hybrid future.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
Don't
why-
power
that's why I
shame
always
my
say, what-
consoles, you PC elitist.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why there's this champion going on for that when you can see what's going on. You've got Steam, which I understand if you don't like the ergonomics of it, but I'll be honest with you, the Steam Deck is probably the closest thing that plays like a console. You just turn that on and everything in the world that's going on, it updates automatically, bang, and you're just playing your Steam games the same way you were if you're sitting in front of your PC. It's the closest thing to it to be on the go gaming. But it is still has such restrictions. I mean, what I mean by restrictions is it verified? Can it play the game? At least they're doing their due diligence to tell you, hey, don't buy this game if you're only playing it on a Steam Deck. It has problems. I appreciate that, but at the same time as I appreciate that, a lot of the games that I want to play, they aren't meant for the Steam Deck, and Steam's telling you that. That's not me saying that. Steam's saying that. And certain times, even when it is verified, it's still not the best experience that I would get used to whether I was playing on a dedicated console or PC. But, Wise, real quick, before I ask the question I was going to ask before, I had listen, and shout out to Kami, by the way. You guys know Kami was on the show just 2-3 weeks ago. That's at Okami13_. You got to go over and follow him on X. He does tremendous gaming news. But he says here, handheld, 1080p, 120 FPS, HDR, LCD, docked, 4K output, HDR, up to 4K 60. Now, I'm not saying there's not more to that, but I would believe he would have said docked, 4K output up to 120 frames. I think if he's saying it's 60, I've only seen 60 on all the ads that I've seen. So that's just what I know. I'm not saying I know more than you do, Wise. If you saw something I didn't, send me something, on X in the DM so I could take a look at it. But I haven't seen anything that says docked 120. I have seen handheld 120. So, and that's at 1080p. Again, I'm not. Yeah, it's not bashing it. I'm just saying those are the stats I've seen.
But if it's
Wait,
at
so
handheld mode,
dock,
which
you
is
can't
the
play.
mode,
You can't play 120 in docked.
I'm not seeing
that
it.
Make no sense.
Yeah,
no, what I'm reading,
like it would be the opposite.
Yeah, what I'm reading right here says the updated dock also supports up to 4K resolution.
Yep.
And frame rates up to 120 with compatible games and TVs. So it's up to 120 on the dock.
Okay, it is 120 on dock then. But is it 4K?
I think
not.
If you want to play 4K, you're limited to 60.
That's okay. That's what I was saying. Okay, I apologize. Yeah, but that's kind of what I've been saying. Right? I'm saying the same thing. We're switching the words. I'm saying you're not going to play 4K 120. I don't even know if you're going to get 1440p 120 docked. I'm saying you may be 1080p 120 even docked, or maybe slightly better than 1080p. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not.
I don't know. I don't have anything in front of me
with a Switch, but obviously with DLSS that they're doing and all the AI upscaling, I don't know.
The VR, Eric in the chat had sent me something that said that they're not doing, NVIDIA had mentioned they're not doing VRR for docked either. That's only going to be in handheld mode. I don't know if that's true either.
Nah, that don't make no sense. Bro, that is a death sentence if that's true.
I don't.
That's the reason.
Why would they do VRR only in handheld? That doesn't make any sense.
In handheld.
No,
that doesn't make sense, right?
Anyways. Yeah.
What do you mean VRR? Tell me that isn't true. Someone please look that up because that's just going to piss me off.
Hold on here. Let me do this real quick. So
but think about it.
Hey Nib, I'm sending you something. Take a look at this. And let me know.
If this console, but you said 120. If this console can push out 1080, 120 for Metroid Prime 4, what type of graphical settings is Metroid Prime 4? How low is it? Because the handheld mode is their weaker variant. So if the weaker variant can run 1080, 120, what type of graphics are we looking at?
By the way, it just opens up my DMs for some reason.
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing.
Your battery gonna be 40 minutes on that Switch.
I don't know.
That would be so weird if it doesn't do VRI and docked. Like, come on, man.
I don't know if that I think this will give some of the information. Shout out to Eric, the producer, guys. Eric, the producer, sent me. He's like, Mooch, check your DMs. He's not the producer, but he's like the producer. He yells at me, Mooch, I sent you a document. Read it. It's like, thank you, Eric. I appreciate that. I sent it over to Nib. Nib's going to run it through ChatGPT and Grok and see if it's true. All right, so BG, here's my question before we change subject. I want to ask you this, because if I ask Death Singer, he'll have a heart attack. So I won't go there. BG, if prices end up, well, you can. Detzinger, I know you're going to chime in, but I got to hear BG. Let BG answer first. I know where you're going to go. If the prices really do go up, BG, and we see a $100 price tag for GTA 6, we start seeing PlayStation, Xbox start selling their games at $80 a pop, digitally. Does Valve eventually move? I understand there's Green Mountain Gaming and there's CD keys. I'm not going there. There's always going to be a discounted rate. There's always a discounted rate. Will Valve raise their price, do you think? If the others are all going to 80, 90, 100, do you see Valve going up? Because listen, if you have a PC, if you don't find something on CD keys, BG, or the other one there, you end up going to Steam. Steam on a lot of games that come out brand new are still $69.99 right now. So do they go up, BG, or no? You have the people at Valve saying we don't need to do that. We're staying put.
Does Valve determine the prices though of those games on Steam though?
I would think so.
Is it? I thought it's still the
it's the publishers,
the developers.
That's why
it's the publishers.
Yeah, it's the publishers, because that's why you see like some games come out like random price tags. Like not everything is 70, not everything is 60, not everything. There's no uniform.
That's
price
fine.
tag.
I listen. I play on PC, but I am by no means an expert on PC. That's why I'm asking. I didn't know if you would start to see a price increase. Okay, that's fine. So let me retract Valve and replace publisher. Will you see publishers start to put prices up on PC when they're doing it on console, and they see that we're assuming that they would make that money on console, because if they don't, we clearly know the answer. But if they are, will you start to see prices on Steam go up? And I'll rephrase myself, due to the publisher.
Did they not already start matching console prices this
possibly?
generation?
Yeah, and possibly, and it may just encourage people to find more ways to get around paying the full price. CD keys and the other third-party distributing websites may become more popular than ever if that happens. And just trying to find a bargain, trying to find games for cheaper prices, that's going to be even more sought after.
Right.
And I think people are just going to get more selective with the games they commit to buying. Because that's going to hurt some other publishers, right? Because it's like, okay, if everybody's being a little bit more careful with their money because things are more expensive, people are taking less chances on games. Like, this game is $60, $70. Do I really want to take a chance on that? Even me, like, I typically don't complain about game prices, right? People just know, like, listen, my stance is if you want it, get it. If you don't.
Right.
I don't really feel like complaining really does anything. Just choose to buy it or not, and that's your form of speaking and saying something. But even me, I've been a little bit like, do I want to take a chance on this $60 game? Because I buy most of my games at launch, so I'm a little bit more gun shy than I'm a little bit more gun shy now, even me.
And to your point, BG, being part of great podcasts like this or Weapon Wheel podcast, there's a lot of recommendations I've heard from other people for games that are just not on my radar. Right, I'm off in JRPG land, and you might say, "Hey, this FPS is great," and if it's not free to play, I might look at it and get, "Oh, it is still 60 right now." But at least you're kind of putting it on my radar, and if these prices are higher and higher, I might be like, "Yo, that's going to be next year." I'm not going to look at that until next season.
It's
BG's
funny. Point about the prices.
Go ahead, Detzinger. Yep.
It's like I'm looking at CD keys now, right? Doom's coming up, right? 30% off the premium edition, 25% off the standard edition. Like a game that would cost, like, for example, for me, Doom the Dark Ages is 52, right?
Yeah.
Or 53. When it should be, I don't know, 70. Like Elden Ring Night Rain, 30%. Lost Soul Aside, 25%. Like, but the thing is, it's like they take the cost and they do it that way. And I just think like these websites are going to become more popular. And as you said, and I don't know, it's just Valve doesn't make games anymore, really. I mean, outside the odd Half-Life thing, So people are going to put their prices up, and people are going to go, okay, cool, I'll just get a 30% discount or whatever on launch. So sure, you could put it to 70, you could put it to 80. I'll still be paying like 60 something for it. So it's, nothing really affects me on the prices. So
wait, when you said Doom, you're talking about the new game, Death Singer. What did you find?
Dark Ages.
Where did you just find those discounts?
CD keys.
CD
all the
keys.
upcoming games.
Okay.
Elden Ring Night Reigns on there. On Mooch 2, Lost Soul Aside.
What's the deepest discount you saw on CD keys for Doom? You say 20% off?
It was 30%.
30%.
For the premium
okay.
edition.
All right. Well, I mean, listen, that's phenomenal.
25 for the standard edition.
But wait, don't forget. So you're going to have percentages off, which, listen, guys, I get that. So going back to it, Death Singer, I'll ask you, do you think the prices will go up? Listen, again, because 20%, 30%, those are great figures to come off. But if the bottom line goes up, okay, you're still paying more, is my point. So do you think that you'll see publishers start to raise prices on PC? So now your 30% is coming off of an $80 tag, where before it was a $70 tag.
Yeah, but the overall price of what you're paying for the product will still be lower.
It'll be lower for sure, but it's more than you paid a week before on a game that was $70 before the price hike. So I'm just saying,
but the price hikes will happen. Either more people will play it through other means, the games, because they're satisfied with the
the reason I'm
hike.
asking, a lot of people may be saying, geez, why is Mooch asking this? The reason I'm asking this is the PC audience is pretty steadfast. When they're not going to buy something, they generally don't buy it, period. So, like what Jay was saying, like Jay was calling out and having a good time with Wise, being like, stop all that nonsense. You're buying that Switch day one, and you know it, And it's like, yeah, we're definitely going to go buy that. But like PC gamers, I don't know how they would take a over the top, $80, $90 price tag jump. And yes, of course they're going to be able to get the game cheaper on CD keys. But now was 70 and they were getting it for 55. Now it's, say it's 80 or 90 and they're getting the game for, 65 to 75. It's all relative depending on where you're starting. I'm just saying that's just something that a lot of people aren't talking about. I just think when it goes up across the board, which you guys clearly stated. That's an interesting take. Shout out to Firefighter Alf too. He makes a great point here. BG, we don't talk about this, but I remember you saying it years ago on your show. We kind of let things kind of slip a little bit. We used to kind of be a little bit more on the developers for not letting games come out and then be like, well, wait for the second patch, we'll fix it. He says here, half the games out there aren't even close to a finished product, really alpha or beta releases, and selling for $60, $70. It goes up to 80 or 90. Then the developers need to actually make full games again at launch. And, BG, you remember, you go back 10 years ago talking about podcasting, that was one of the things. We're like, this game's broken. What the hell's this? Nowadays, everyone's like, I bought the game. It's not working. Even people were saying it about Baldur's Gate 3. Wait till the patch comes when you get to whatever it is there, Section 3 or Chapter 3. They fixed it. They fixed it eventually. My point is when you're now paying $80, $90, nobody's perfect, so you're not going to necessarily get the best of the 100%, but should we be asking for a hell of a lot better quality and not waiting for 2, 3, 4 patches? BG, this with even Star Wars Survivor. It was wait for the patch. They were on 9 PC patches before people recommended it.
Yeah. Listen, you're talking in an ideal world that because you pay more for something, that means the standard does increase.
Right, it goes up.
We know it. We know it don't work like that. I mean,
tell that to
games,
Last of Us 2 PC players.
Some developers,
That's true.
you can trust them to make a good product, regardless of the price of it, and others, regardless of the price, you know what to expect. The price doesn't indicate the quality or how good the game is going to play. That's not going to change, unfortunately. So the only thing that really changes it is if they feel it in in their personal wallets, that because their game underperformed because they put out some low quality or poor performing games. So no, that's more cost isn't going to come with it, man. unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I'm right
We
there
shouldn't
with
expect
you.
it.
By the way, welcome the great creative Kofi to the show. Kofi, a true professional. He comes in here and he goes, "Let me just take over this microphone real quick." Kofi, outstanding job. Great to have you with us. Moonshot says here, I'm calling out a friend of the show. He says RTG. I think he means RGT. He says, my man always has a bazooka smoke for PS5, yet zero energy for and didn't keep the energy for Switch 2. I see you, RGT. Well, let me tell you something. I actually I spoke with Sean last week. And he had some stuff going on. He's like, listen, I'll let you know. I'm definitely going to be back on the show. I reached out to him again. I said, I was hoping he could come on because, this is Nintendo. He has a great Nintendo following. He's very much, I'm not going to speak for Sean, but just know this, Moonshot. Like, Sean is definitely excited for Nintendo products and Nintendo games. That's where he plays. Like, that's how I ended up stumbling upon his channel. I've always had him on here for big Nintendo news. So, how he handles giving his smoke, I'll let him handle that question, Mooch. You'll have to ask him when he's back on the show. Hopefully we have Sean back on in a week or two. But I was really hoping to get him on this week. Hopefully he'll come on next week, and we could talk a little bit about like some of the aftermath that's going to be going on. Because after an announcement like the Nintendo Direct, and it is a big deal because now, especially with Xbox seemingly going more of that third party, yes, they're going to have a hybrid. Yes, they're going to have this. Yes, they're going to have that. Nintendo and PlayStation, you're kind of holding up those pillars right now. It is kind of exciting to see new hardware come out. That's a dedicated console. And my God, guys, I can't believe we're using this word. Exclusives were actually mentioned, and people were applauding it. When just a few weeks ago, that was a very, very evil term. Shout out to Danelle Brown. He says, I think the Xbox handheld is going to be DOA because of the Switch 2. I am only getting the Switch 2 for Pokemon games. That is all. Shout out to the great Danelle Brown. Danelle, great to have you here. I hope you're enjoying these W's that my Mets are putting up. I don't want to hear a damn thing about those Dodgers. Nonetheless. All right, I will switch over real quick here. Let me see here where I have my... Go ahead.
Also, too, Mooch,
please.
Like, when it comes to like Nintendo and whatever platform, right? You gotta be very mindful when it comes to content creators because they can have a strong opinion, but they're gonna want to create that content, so they're gonna buy the console. They're gonna buy, somebody can be strongly against it, but they're gonna buy it for the content.
Yeah, I think a lot of people that don't do YouTube don't realize, especially when you do YouTube as your primary. Like, you're reacting to a few things. You're reacting, and this isn't about anybody. This is off my mind. I don't do it full time, but you're reacting to the news. You also have your favorite things. You have the things you're not a big fan of, and you have an audience. And you know what your audience likes, and you do you speak to your audience. So it is what it is. It's if you don't like the New York Mets, you're probably not watching SNY. Just in, right? That's just the way it is. So at the end of the day, so I want to get Sean back on because I really do want to get his take on what's been going on and what he thinks of the Switch too. Go ahead. Someone want to say something?
I wanted to say is like this is why like people like if you're a fan of a console, this is why you got to be careful. I think like Barry might have mentioned about making hard stances, because people make these statements of one publisher being anti-consumer. They love to throw that word around.
Yeah,
and it's like I always say it. I'm like, all these companies are anti-consumer. Just wait for it. You don't even have to wait for it. You can see it. It's you may have selective, vision on what you consider anti-consumer, but they're all anti-consumer. None of these manufacturers and companies are looking out for you.
Right.
So taking a hard stance against a price, against a tactic, against some type of marketing or whatever, bro, your favorite company may and likely will eventually do it.
Yep.
Whether it's paid upgrades or $80 games, don't take no hard stances because your favorite company is going to do it next. And you're crazy if you don't think that if it's going to benefit them that they're not.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. Everybody was really coming down. Everybody thought that the Sony PlayStation 5 upgrades when it was from PS4 to PS5 should have been free. PlayStation came out, made them $10. That got a ton of backlash, PG. And now the Nintendo upgrades, right, are going to be $20.
Majority of the PlayStation 5 stuff was free though. There's only like set games that it was. It
was set games, yeah. Well, yes, that's true too.
Yeah, but then look at like
content, whatnot, they will charge.
But the ones I remember were like Ghost of Tsushima. I thought I paid for that one. I think I also paid for Nathan Drake
Yeah.
collection, or what? No, it wasn't that one. Pardon me. It was to get Uncharted
Horizon
4,
Zero Dawn was amazing. 'cause that was
Horizon Zero
basically,
Dawn. You now have Days
almost a
Gone.
remake.
Yeah. Then there was, of course, the remake of Last of Us Part 1, and then the Last of Us Remastered.
I will say, to BG's point about like anti-consumerism, like that word is. I think people have swapped entitlement for anti-consumer. Something is not
True.
something is not anti-consumer just because you don't get your preference. Like there's this weird sense of entitlement. Like I think people substitute anti-consumer for capitalism. They don't realize that what they're describing is capitalism. All businesses are in the position of making money, right? And to BG's point, you only give as much as you give or take as much as you take based on market dynamics. So
you take as
if-
much as you can get away with
exactly.
taking.
Yeah, that the market allows. So if
That the
Xbox
market
is
allows,
doing
yeah.
this or that, or doing more things that are, you would deem as pro-consumer, it's probably because the other things that they're doing aren't drawing enough of a market share. But if they were to be in a dominant position, aka 360 period, they had it all. They had
Yep.
DLC timed exclusives. They had exclusives. They had, they were
You paid for everything.
really
Yeah.
aggressive on that stuff. They did not allow crossplay. Like you name it. Like when you're in a dominant position, how you behave is very different to when you're in the underdog position. So it doesn't necessarily mean that they are pro-consumer. It's just they're having to do more to earn people's money because right now people are not gravitating towards them.
Go ahead, Wise. I do want to throw this out there, guys. Let me throw a volleyball, see if one of you guys spikes it down. Shout out to Mass Produce. He says, I have it in my notes. I didn't bring it up yet. Mass Produce says, Mooch, did you speak on the paid tutorial? That's something that was extremely shocking.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting.
But let me say
Wasn't
this.
it like it was some weird amount to like $6?
Yeah, it's like a virtual tour that you have to pay for.
Oh.
You pay for a tour.
I missed that section. What?
It's like
when
how
you get the console, there's like
Astrobot
an app that you
has
can
the
download.
Astrobot
Yeah.
was free.
yeah, you know
you
how
talking about the
Astrobot had the
game.
onboarding? Yeah, the
Okay, yeah,
onboarding your little thing. Yeah.
I'm trying
They
to
have
this.
their own but you got to pay for it.
But let me say this, just to support what Niv said, that it's not pro or anti-consumer. It's the job of a corporation is to make money for their shareholders. Period. I mean,
Right.
and they're going to do whatever it takes. If the consumer base is happy with the corporation's move to make money, then they call it pro-consumer. If they're not happy, then they call it anti-consumer. That's just what it is. But there's no such thing. A corporation is neither pro nor anti-consumer. It's just a money-getting.
Exactly. And I will say,
So that Nintendo Tour thing is an actual game, or is just like a?
Well, it says
No,
here-
it's just an app.
No,
it just
it's,
shows you what the hell the console does.
it's called a
Period.
welcome tour. So it's basically
Yeah.
just instructions, but done in a visually cool way.
It says here,
And
discover.
they fucking
This is from Nintendo. It says, discover all the secrets inside your new console with Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, a paid downloadable launch title from Nintendo Switch 2.
So just a question for the panel. Like God of War Valhalla, Returnal, I forgot what it's called, their DLC, the expansion with the co-op
where you
and
played
everything.
co-op, yeah.
Yeah, and then Ghost of Tsushima Legends and stuff like that. Every single GT7 update since they released the game, and every single GT Sport update. So, they do actually offer a lot of content free, as well as the paid, upgrades and things like that. What is like the Nintendo equivalent of offering that degree of content for free?
Wait, compared to what was one of your comparisons?
Like God of War Valhalla or Ghost of Tsushima Legends.
Got it.
In terms of offering anything free, I know that there's a paid DLC for Mario Kart 8, but didn't some of that content get added for free?
Some,
No,
I
you have to
believe,
Only
did.
thing I can think of.
You had to have the Nintendo Online. If
Oh, you did.
if you got the big bundle that comes with the virtual console games, you got like the Mario Kart stuff that you had to pay for the Wii U. You got that stuff free.
Yeah,
So
you
the
needed
actual,
you needed the online plus expansion pass.
well, free, not
Yeah.
free, but you pretty much paying for it. Yeah.
That's the only
you'll
thing I
still
can
pay.
think of.
Yeah, because I think people forget that sometimes. Like, this isn't me glazing PlayStation, but realistically, like, genuinely, truly, Ghost of Tsushima Legends, I put like 15, 20 hours into that shit. It was free.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I put like 9.5 hours into God of War Valhalla. It was free.
Yeah.
That,
You know,
that
GT7.
GT7 DLC, like you said, oh man,
Yo,
there's so many great cars.
no return, great mode.
That's what I'm
a
saying.
great mode.
Yeah, no
Got
return's
more
very
content
good.
today.
Mhm.
We got new
Yeah,
license.
exactly.
We had the international license and all that stuff.
Yeah, new tracks, Glenn, whatever it's called, is one of my favorite tracks in real life. Like, how many cars? Like dozens and dozens of cars, new cafes, and it's like, yeah, I think sometimes like people are so into this like negativity side, they forget sometimes the positives as well. Because yeah,
Was the
okay.
was the Splatoon stuff free, or that was paid for?
thought it came with the expansion
I
pass.
can't remember any.
I was
free
gonna say,
stuff
I think that
myself,
was, I
but-
think that was paid. But
That was paid,
Yeah,
right?
you had to pay,
yeah.
no, you had to go. If you were with the expansion pass,
Or
this online plus the expansion pass, then you got that.
But you-
Oh, Mooch,
oh,
you killing me
okay.
right now, Mooch.
Why?
You killing me. You showing one of my favorite maps.
I
right
love
now, bro.
firing range, man. I love
Oh my
firing range.
God.
Yo, they bring back
Yo,
these nostalgias. They pull at your heartstrings, man. I'm telling you.
Yo, listen, man. I was about to download the other day, but I saw the gigs. I was like,
Yo,
are you going to
this
download
was-
200 and something gigs right now?
I got some fast internet, and I got news for you. This took a minute. This was a big update. So, no, I'm loving it, man. I actually, when the show's over, I'm thinking I want to wait till tomorrow, man. But I might play a couple games of Warzone. That brings it to it. So let me ask you guys. So Jay, I'll start with you because I'm just curious. Like Verdansk, man. Listen to anybody in the audience too. Just listen, hear me out for a second. This isn't just a Call of Duty Verdansk discussion. That it was a time. Okay, we all forget because now life is back. But like there was a time we were stuck in our house. You know what I mean? And I had people that were not gamers. They didn't play. Maybe they hadn't played since they were real young. They went out and bought a console. Some of them built a small, PC. They were playing Warzone, playing Verdansk, and it was a big deal. Since Verdansk, you went to Caldera and then Al Mazrah, and then they had Urzikstan, and now we're back. And I gotta say, they're hoping that this game brings people back to the Battle Royale franchise of Call of Duty. Jay, can Verdansk and the changes they made, and they took all the good stuff that we loved, they kept all the crap out for the most part. Even the streamers, reviewers have been giving it praise today. Can this bring Battle Royale back for Warzone and Call of Duty?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I don't play Warzone with Call of Duty, right? I have a stance. I got principles where I feel like
Oh, brother.
well, Warzone ruined Call of Duty core multiplayer, so I don't play. But I did see a lot of people excited to have Verdansk back. But I'll be honest with you, Marvel Rivals is taking a lot of the players from Call of Duty, bro. And the update that they just announced today, that is one game where I see they have like an update or a new season or half a season, whatever they call it, 1.5 or whatever. Yeah. And I don't see like a whole bunch of complaints from people within the community or nobody. It's just like people say, oh, wow, this is cool. COD would have an update or a patch. Yo, all you see is complaints where it's like, what? They killed the game. They ruined the game. So I don't know what they're doing. Maybe they will get people back. But I feel like Marvel Rivals got a hold on people right now, man. I don't know.
I don't know. So listen. So you what do they say? Don't knock it till you try it. I didn't give it like hundreds of hours. I downloaded Marvel Rivals. I don't. For some reason, it don't. And I know BG's a huge fan. I see him. He's always updating on X. Be like, yo, I just got this. I'm this level. I'm this tier. I don't know. For some reason, I didn't like Overwatch either. There's something about Marvel Rivals that just doesn't scratch the itch. It doesn't do anything for me. Like the modes.
It might be the perspective. The third person, you might not like that.
I don't know. I don't know if that's as simple as that because I think it's fluid. I think the game is fluid. I think it's polished. I think it looks good. It plays well. It's the modes for me. I just don't like. It's like all. And again, I'm very novice at that game, so pardon me for not saying the right thing. But let's all get together, and it's like you have your distance warriors, you have your tanks inside, and it's like I'm usually an outside. I'm usually like Punisher, or I'm outside, and I just set up like my turret, and I'm just like shooting all the tanks. And then once the tanks are done smashing each other, just hitting the buttons in the middle, when the one tank that's left turns around, sees who's been hitting them, me from long distance, they come over and start smashing the guys on the outside. And and it's like, it's just repeat round and wait for your thing to reach the finish line as we push it forward. I don't know. For me, that doesn't do it. I know that I think Marvel Rivals, at the end of the day, and BG, I do want to hear what you have to say because I know you're a big fan. It really wasn't supposed to be a Marvel Rivals conversation, but I am curious since you guys are on here and play it a lot. Like, I think you take those Marvel characters out, nobody was like, I can't wait to get home and play Overwatch. I don't know what am I missing here, BG, from, I play a lot of multiplayer. I play a lot of first-person shooters. I love Battle Royale as a whole. I play way too much of it. It takes me away from some of my great single-player games. But what is it, BG, that I'm missing here? Because I'm just not, Marvel Rivals didn't connect with me. Outside of the characters.
I don't know. I mean, I have like 600 plus hours.
Yeah, I see you. You're on there. Yeah, he's on there.
Yeah,
he's on there.
A crazy amount.
He's on there.
BG's a casual, man. He's a casual.
And I'm somebody who hated Overwatch. Like day one,
Right,
I thought Overwatch was garbage, like trash.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. And I got killed for it. Remember,
there was nothing hotter than it. Come on, man.
Yeah, I know. In 2016, I think that's when it came out.
Yes.
Overwatch was the hottest thing smoking. You could not say anything bad about it. And I came out and I'm like, this game is garbage. I don't know what y'all like about it. But Rivals, to me, is just really good. Everybody knows I have third person bias. I think third person makes the majority of games better, right? Not saying all games should be third person. There are some games I love in first person, but I do think that makes something better. I do like Marvel characters. That helps it a little bit, but that's not it for me. Because like there are plenty of like Marvel games that I think are terrible. So just because it has Marvel characters doesn't mean I'm gonna play it. I just think like it's competitive, it's strategic. I play a bunch of different characters. Like I like that. Like on top of me being a Marvel fan, like I could just I already kind of like know and understand like the meta and how each character is gonna play. Like I play a bunch of characters, so I can't get into who I play, but I play like Strange and Penny a lot.
Yep.
I think for some people who it didn't connect with, it could be a matter of finding a character that actually you connect with. Because when I played like the beta, remember when they had the early beta? When they first had the early beta, I mainly played with like Storm and one other character. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. But then when the full game came out, I started playing with a bunch of other characters: Strange, Penny, Luna, Cloak, Punisher, Namor. I played with a lot of characters. And Storm never really could after I stopped playing with Storm, not that she's a bad character, but she doesn't really fit my playstyle. After I stopped playing with Storm, that's when I got addicted to the game. So you might actually, it might actually be a matter of finding the correct character that like it becomes an extension of you, right? Like you don't have to think. When I play with the characters I play with, I'm not even thinking. I'm just reacting. I'm just like playing the game. There's no thought. It's like an extension of my arm, bro. Like so. Yeah. It could be that.
I like what you said though. You did say something that kind of rings a bell there, and you said I know these characters. I know what I'm kind of getting into before I even. You said I knew that with a couple before I even picked them out and never played. That may be the thing. I do also think that there's a plethora of characters. I think maybe I need to find that character. I do agree. Let me ask you one more question, BG, because there's times where I'm just level. Like right now, I got on. I wanted to get the HDR up. Right, because I want to get that sniper up and going because it's OP as hell right now for multiplayer and for Warzone. But like when you play, I feel like with Marvel Rivals and Overwatch, I gotta have a team assembled that I'm talking to and playing with. Can you enjoy that game? Sometimes I just quickly have like an hour or 45 minutes. I get on real quick, level up guns, get this and that. I'll even play a single player. I show it all the time here. I'll play a single player match of Warzone just for that competitive rush. You know what I mean? Like, can you play solo in that game? Because the modes I've been playing, it feels like when we get decimated, it's because the other team is definitely working together. Can you just jump in and play that game, or no? You're like, no. Usually when I get on at least with 2 or 3 of my buddies, and we jam out that way.
So funny enough, the game has this like weird matchmaking and algorithm, right? It's actually better to play this game solo. Like, and people who I've played with, when we team up, we just run into like the biggest fuckery. Like that's the only way I could describe it. Like shit just gets real weird when you party up with people. And it's hard to explain, but people who play know what I'm talking about. Like people complain about the matchmaking in this game. It's like sometimes the game will purposely, like you'll get railroaded sometimes, right? Sometimes the game will either put you on a team with like absolute geniuses on your level, or the game will put you with like, yo, are these people real, or are these bots? Are these like actual living, breathing people? There's like no in between.
Oh nah, there's definitely bots lobbies. There's definitely bot lobbies in Marvel Rivals.
It's like people are trying to like figure out like, yo, do y'all need to fix the matchmaking? Because there's like no in between. There's like rarely any like. Sometimes there's close games, like in the higher ranks, because I'm like in Grandmaster, so you'll get some close games. But in like the other ranks lower than that, it's like, bro, you're either stomping the team or you're getting stomped.
Or you're getting stomped.
It's like
Facts.
they gotta fix something. They gotta fix something with that. But yeah, I love the game, and I'm like that. The announcement for season 2. One of the things that they're the biggest thing that I saw is they are going to be rewarding you based on your individual performance. Before, let's say you did amazing as a tank, like you did 40k damage, 40k blocked, right? 40k damage blocked.
Yep.
Before, listen, if you were an amazing tank but you lost because your healers are bad or your DPS is bad, doesn't matter. You're all losing the same amount of XP or gaining the same amount of XP. Doesn't matter. Now you're going to be rewarded a little bit more if you're a better player, and even if you lose, you're gonna lose less than somebody who actually like played badly. So that's something that I wish was always there.
So you see yourself sticking with this game, BG, like for a minute at least?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I ain't about to stop. So
yeah, no, that's good. I see you all the time, and you sometimes you have no words at all. You just put the picture of like your upgrade and what you did to the next master, like you say, master class, master rank. Yeah. And I'm like, man,
Marvel Rivals is an addictive game, man. I purposely had to force myself to stop playing, so I can play other games that was coming out, bro. Because you get into this mode where it's like, yeah, I just play 2 games. Nah, it end up being like good 4 hours you playing this motherfucker.
And it's a high skill ceiling. It's definitely like a high skill ceiling game.
Yeah.
Hey, Mooch,
Go ahead.
The thing, everything BG was saying.
Yeah.
See, now this is why I come at differently, because literally everything BG just said that he likes about the game and whatnot, that was Overwatch 1. Everything. The only difference was it was third person camera angle. Overwatch 1 was first person. But it's literally that's what drew me to it, because it reminds me of those peak Overwatch 1 days when you're playing ranked, you're in the meta, you're running the dive comp, like you have the Diva, and then you have the Winston, and then you have the Pharah Mercy, and then you'll have a Genji on the side to go in and do some backline killing.
Right.
Like, you got all the way to the top on it, and then you're like, okay, cool. The only difference is they actually had role queue in Overwatch, which I think Marvel Rivals should have. I know I might be on the minority of that. Like, because role queue was like, okay, I know that it did make it different, because like if you queued DPS in ranked on Overwatch 1, you would have to wait 5 minutes because there's so many people queuing as DPS. But if you queue as a healer or a tank, you get into a game in like less than a minute, because not many people want to be a tank or healer. And I think they should do that, because then it forces people to play their role. That was one thing I did enjoy about Overwatch 1.
Yeah.
So I mean, they won't implement it, but I personally think they should, because I really enjoy the game, because it's just peak Overwatch 1. That's Marvel Rivals, peak Overwatch 1. That's why
I don't like role queuing, because there's many times where some people, they might get queued up into a role that they might not play because you already locked in certain roles, and that person might just cost you the game because they don't know how to play that damn role. But they got
no. Before you queue, you pick your role. So if me and you were playing together on it and I had role queue, if I only play tanks, I would pick my role as tank, because that's all I play. You're DPS, so you pick nothing but DPS.
Yeah, but it limits you to 2-2-2-2, right?
It does limit you to 2-2-2.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, Marvel Rivals, I don't have to worry about that. Like, if somebody knows how to play tank, and I might be picking tank. You know what? I would just switch off. Like, you know what? I'll play healer, because I could just switch it. I didn't lock into a role. I'm adjusting, because the gameplay is very dynamic. You don't know what can happen. Like BG said, there's times where you're playing with people that's really, really high IQ, and you might have to switch it up. You can't do that in a role queue, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but the thing is, it's like pros and cons, right? Because both have pros. Because pros, the people who pick tank actually know how to play tank because that's their main role. People who pick healer know how to play healer because they. Whereas people, yeah, you could change back and forth, but if you have some dumbass on like a tank and they have no idea how to play tank, but and then you're and it's like that fucks your entire team.
So,
whereas if you have someone who queues for nothing but tank, having that person will be more value. So there's pros and cons to both sides of it.
So let me ask this question, because I think BG said it, and don't get me wrong, I'm not taking anything from the quality of the game, but and it's good to have Jay Barry here, because we jammed out and played. One of my biggest gripes with Concord, okay, when it came out, was the fact, and I understand people are going to say characters and that's fine, but the game was polished, it played fine. It didn't bring anything new to it in form of game modes, really. It was basically Call of Duty multiplayer, but with, more of a Destiny multiplayer feel, So it didn't bring a whole lot new there. I mean, that's not a real bash. I'm just saying, when I was playing, I was shocked. I was like, well, Marvel's definitely is, Overwatch-esque, and it doesn't bring a whole lot to the table. My question for BG and Jay is if we were to take Strange and take Wolverine and take the Hulk out and take all these characters out, and it was just like a completely different type of artist's envisionment of these characters, does Rivals stand a chance? Or is it really the fact that, like you were saying, BG, initially, when you said, Mooch, the thing is I can kind of switch to a different character, and I know what I'm getting at, because I know what that character's background is and what they can do and what they can't do. And you didn't mean skill set in the game. You meant the character from the comic. You know what's going on because you're a fan. Do you think if you take that skin off of it, that it changes the dynamic that Marvel Rivals has? Or no, it's not like that at all, and that's just misreading the room.
So appearances allure, right? It makes people notice. So the aesthetic and the allure is obviously important to these games. Is it the most important thing? To me, not at all.
No,
it'll, because you can bring people to the game by getting them to notice it by the aesthetic, but you got to keep them, right? And the gameplay is going to keep them. You can get them to look at it, but the gameplay is what's going to keep people going. With Concord, I don't think the gameplay was good. I don't think the style was good. I don't think anything about Concord. I don't think anything about Concord was good. So they didn't even do the first job.
I rebuke you.
With Concord, they didn't even do the first thing, was to make an attractive game,
right?
Like something that looked cool, right? They didn't even do that. Okay, let's get past that. Is the gameplay at least fun and addictive? To me, it wasn't. It was just some. You would have thought that game was made by some amateurs in their garage, right? That's what it felt like.
This is the problem I have with BG. He's just like Marvel Rivals matchmaking. It's very wishy-washy. You know what I mean? He can love one aspect in one game, but a game can have the same aspect but hates it in this game. It's weird.
Concord.
BG's spitting facts.
In conclusion,
he's
definitely not spitting no facts. He don't got.
Yeah, he is. But BG's preaching right now. I mean,
no, he's not. No, he's not. Concord gameplay was definitely fun. The characters was very unique. You know what I mean? A lot of people say, it didn't offer anything as far as modes, but the characters didn't play. Every character felt different in Concord. Every character felt different.
Yeah, there was a tank, there was a, there was a long distance, there was a healer, they had the elements that were kind of similar in the same sense that we're talking about with, like, not Marvels, but maybe, like, say Overwatch again, but at the same time, they had the modes, they had a lot of the Call of Duty modes. I thought the game was made well, it worked, it ran, it was polished. I understand that the lore wasn't there for you, BG, but, like, that's the same thing where I'm like, I don't understand. I think if you took Concord and we replaced the characters with Doctor Strange and Wolverine and the Hulk, you know what I mean? It's like, I feel like when you put Marvel on something, it's just almost a success as long as it works. I don't know. I don't
want to take anything from Marvels though, because Marvels did a great job with the presentation. Like you said, the aesthetics,
top notch.
They did a wonderful job.
Top notch.
So I'm not taking enough from that.
The thing is, we can't say that because we have several Marvel games that have failed. So it's been proven that just being a Marvel IP is not enough. I mean, obviously Avengers failed. Yeah. And in my opinion was not good. Guardians of the Galaxy was a good game.
I thought that was very good. Yeah. That was a damn good game.
So, and there was something. Oh yeah, the card game, the Marvel's card game failed.
Oh, Midnight Suns.
So
Yeah.
Midnight. So we have 3 Marvel games that have failed.
Mm.
So that proves that it's just not enough. You actually do have to be.
That's a good
game
point.
too.
That's a good point.
The thing
how
is
much
that
did Guardians of the Galaxy fail because of the Marvels? I mean, I think Guardians of the Galaxy got a bum rap because of that.
Yeah, look, Wise, just to answer, because BG, you made a point. The only thing I would make a bit of an asterisk for 2 of the ones you mentioned is when you're talking about the Guardians of the Galaxy, a lot of people were kind of like taken off because the characters weren't, you know what I mean? They weren't like, what is it? Star-Lord didn't look like, Chris
Star-Lord,
Pratt and didn't sound like Chris Pratt. And then also with the Avengers game, I mean, holy shit, you couldn't have made a completely different character look alike and sound alike. So I'm not saying it just wasn't apples for apples. You're right. I still think you're right. I think you're 100. The asterisk would be they took the beloved character, whereas in Marvel Rivals, those are the beloved characters from comics. And the comics go farther than the movies. You know, when you talk about the diehards, they're all about the comics and keeping true to that. So I still think your point's valid. I can't retract your point. But the asterisk is that they drastically changed it in 2 of those. Now, Midnight Suns, no, that holds water 110%. There's no asterisks. I agree with you. So you're right. It does take more than just the skin to sell the game. That's a good point. But I don't know. For some reason, I just felt like, Concord kind of just got. It was Jay before that game came out. It did.
Who mentioned Concord, man? Y'all ain't right, man.
That's me. I apologize, Jay.
Y'all gonna stop bringing up Concord.
They love bringing that Concord up, right?
I'm on the podcast, man.
So,
hey, Mooch.
yes.
Apparently, Jay is still raw about that.
Listen.
I am.
Mooch. The thing is, they positioned it wrong. They positioned it as a hero shooter, but you're coming out into a market where the expectation, like, look at Marvel Rivals.
Mm-hmm.
It's essentially, it does what Overwatch does, but it's peak Overwatch. So, it does similar thing. Valorant is a massive hero shooter. It's a CSGO kind of game, but it also has the hero shooter aspect. It has the ultimates, etc. Thing is, you go in, I'm a hero shooter. You have none of the ultimates. You have none of what people expect from a hero shooter. The blueprint was set in 2016 with Overwatch. They said, now if they shouldn't have bothered with the whole hero thing. They should have just gone this an arena shooter and it would have done fine. But you're putting it in a hero shooter market and you're going, well, I come from Overwatch. I'm going to play this game. Or the worst part was Marvel Rivals had the beta. What was it? It was like the week of Concord, or was it a week after?
It was
before.
I thought Marvel
close, right?
Marvel Rivals was after.
December, I think.
Yeah.
It was really close when it had them, and that gave people a direct comparison between hero shooters. Oh, that was like, you played this, you played that.
Yeah,
compare.
The timing was real bad.
So what happened to Splitgate? That came out officially?
No, that's in beta. That's still in beta.
Okay.
Yeah. So let me ask you guys this question. So Jay, I'll ask you since you're hot on the mic right now, Jay. I know you only got maybe a couple hours with it, so this is not a true review. But I want to just talk about the game for a second, and then I just want to talk about what my perspective is on 24 and 25 with Game Pass. But Jay, what do you think? I just downloaded South of Midnight. You have to say, disclosure, got the game off Keymailer and Xbox. So thanks to those guys for that. I haven't played it yet. I downloaded it and then we had the podcast when I got home from work. But Jay, what do you think so far? Again, very, very initial thoughts. Nobody hold Jay to this. He could completely change his mind 100 times over before he finishes it.
Yeah, my thoughts is wait for the PlayStation 5 version. I'm joking. Yo, so far I'm liking it, man. It is a big file. Surprisingly, it's like 80 something gigs on PC from what I downloaded. But that could be like the sound or the music or whatnot. I'm not too sure. But overall, it looks beautiful, man. Beautiful looking game. The sound is great. The voice acting sounds really good. I like the dynamic so far between the mom and Hazel, and then with her grandma. It's pretty early stuff, so I'm not spoiling nothing. The only thing I'm kind of disliking about the game is how stiff the movement feels a little bit, and the combat can be a little bit stiff as well. it's not as loose. I don't know what's the term to use, but it doesn't feel as like fluid. Yeah, it doesn't feel as fluid to me. You know, maybe that's the stop animation thing that they're doing.
Yeah,
but the character doesn't feel like it's on like this rail, and you're forcing your character to get off the rail to move to the,
so
you know what I mean? But that's just how I feel so far.
You know, when you can never put your words into perspective, especially before you actually get a chance to play it. I kind of kept my mouth shut on it, but when we were seeing it, and everyone's like, I love that they're doing that static, like that movement you're talking about, which is, it is unique from a visual. It's very unique. I'm like, that doesn't look like smooth, crisp way to play. You know what I mean?
It looks much better in person, because I thought I was going to have issue with it, because I was like, I was going to turn it off. You can turn it off, by the way.
Oh, you can turn that off. Interesting.
Because it's a cool aesthetic. Also, they have a weird mode in this game where you can turn off boss fights. So
what?
Yeah,
that's like an accessibility setting, must be.
Yes.
I don't even think it was an accessible. It might be. I gotta look again. But I was going through the menus, and I was like, you can turn off. It says right there, you can turn off boss fights. So if somebody played this game on like super hard difficulty, I would even take it serious, because I don't know if they turn off the boss fights or not. You know what I mean? Unless they post the gameplay of it. But so far, I like it. I'm only like 2 hours. I want to say 3 hours into it.
Okay.
But it's a pretty good game so far, man. Pretty good game. The ability's pretty cool. But it's just that I'm pretty sure when y'all play it, y'all gonna see what I'm talking about as far as how like it needs to be a little bit more fluid or gameplay wise, or movement wise. But other than that, it's pretty cool so far.
So that's interesting. So and this is just a generic kind of, BG, I'll go to you, and then I want to hear Wise's take on this too, and Kofi as well. So, you know, everyone on X is just kind of like, you know, Xbox is back, man. They did it. They're finally here. This is, and don't get me wrong, a lot of people, there's Starfield, which did, I think, okay. I think Indiana Jones rated well. I don't think it sold very well, and it's going to be interesting. I know it topped the charts, in air quotes, on PlayStation, but I can't wait to see what those numbers are. I wonder on PlayStation if they'll reveal those numbers. I think when it comes down to it, though, a lot of the games that we've seen coming from Xbox and Game Pass, have they hit the mark, BG? To say, like, when people go, well, wait, you just wait and see, Doom's on the way. I mean, they bought Doom. Doom's Doom. I love Doom. I've always played every Doom. I absolutely love it. Anybody who's been listening to the channel knows I love Doom. I can't wait to play Doom. There it is. I can't wait. But it's like, that's a game that was in development. They bought the team. You know, it's like if Sony bought Borderlands, right? Gearbox. And you're like, well, PlayStation did it. They did it. Here comes Borderlands 4. It's all them. It's like, well, wait. No, I'm pretty sure Randy Pitchford and the Gearbox guys have been working on that for about 5 years, 6 years. They bought them. Sony owns them. There's a PlayStation stamp in the corner, but that's Gearbox. That's the team. So, you know, Doom.
Oh, Mooch, you're not giving them the dub. You're not giving Xbox a dub because
it is a dub. No, it is a dub. But I'm saying outside of Doom, what is big that has been, because I don't think Fable's going to move the needle very much for Game Pass. We already saw Indiana Jones didn't do that. Starfield didn't do the numbers they wanted. Call of Duty didn't even really do the magnificent numbers. And Call of Duty is an absolute powerhouse. So I guess my question, BG, is like, when it comes down to it, you know, because you see everything. Everybody sees what everybody says on X. It's like, yeah, they're here. They did it. Finally did it. And I'm like, all right. I mean, yeah. You know, so is to you, ISBG, should Xbox not have done what they did and go on third party? Should they have held out and taken these games and stayed the course and stayed exactly the way they were, 12, 18 months ago? Or no, they made the right call doing what they're doing, putting their games everywhere. Because like I said a moment ago, I know people don't like to hear it, but they bought third party publishers. And now it's an Xbox Microsoft gaming situation, and now those games are everywhere. So I guess those games were always everywhere. Right? Bethesda's games were always everywhere. Activision games were always everywhere. So it's like, should they have held on to it and made this the power of Xbox and the power of Game Pass, PC Game Pass as well? Or should they, BG, have taken the road they did? I'm just curious, because here we are. Now the games are here. People are like, you can't say that, Mooch. The games aren't here. They're here. What do you think?
I mean, I think they did what was right for them as a as a business, and
Mhm.
they don't look at it as
I agree. I think they did the right thing.
we could have held out and continued to fight the war.
Right.
Right. I think they understand that there was no way they were going to win that.
Yeah.
From I guess from PlayStation, or even if you include Nintendo, but
Mhm.
we usually look at it between PlayStation and Xbox.
Right.
Nothing was
right.
going to change that. Right. It was already solidified. So they did what was best for them and what was healthy for them as a business, and just go become a third party publisher. Of course, I would have liked them to stay, what they were doing, just
Mhm.
because I like the competition.
That's right.
And I like how I like the way the console and gaming has been since I've been in it, and that's how it's been. So, but they did what was right for them. To me, the Xbox games have not like hit like that.
Right.
Like all these long list of I guess games that were championed and paraded around, like, oh, this is coming. Indiana Jones didn't like it.
Mhm. Yeah.
The other ones that came out before, they all, I mean, even if you just go by reviews and not my opinion, every review says these games are okay.
That's what I'm
Okay.
saying. They're okay.
Some above average, but none have hit like an absolute like just banger.
Right.
Industry game changing, and not all the games have to do that,
Mhm.
but they're just not making an impact. Like, none of them are really making an impact, if you get what I'm saying. And that's not hate. That's just like kind of objective.
It's not hate.
Objective fact about it. It's just objective fact about it. So, and if you go by South of Midnight reviews, once again, not my opinion. I'm gonna play it myself, but so I'm gonna see.
Mhm.
It just seems like another okay game.
Yeah.
Nothing that would. So even if they did stay, in the competition, these games weren't going to change anything for them. It would have still just been the same.
That's how I feel, and that's why when people are like, "Man, they should have stayed the course. This is it. They finally got there." And I'm talking about media markets are saying this, and I'm like, are they looking at the same games that I'm looking at? Because like and this has nothing to do with the games going to PlayStation, because Indiana Jones, I'm not buying Indiana Jones on PlayStation. I played it on Xbox, and it was I got to like the little past the Vatican, and I was like, it wasn't for me. I just thought it wasn't for me. I didn't care for it very much. I haven't tried South of Midnight yet. I am excited to play it. I think it's got a lot of potential, so I'm excited for it. But I don't know. The other games, like even Starfield, it was kind of like Starfield was very boring. Like, I know a lot of people who loved it. They loved it, but it didn't grab me. I played, 35, 40 hours of it. I don't know, something like that. 30 hours, something like that. And it didn't grab me. Maybe someone will go, Mooch, you got to play more. That may be the case. I don't know. I just think when you look at some of these bigger games, I'm like, it's always wait for the next one. It's like, oh, this didn't do well. You wait till Fable comes out. Wait till Starfield comes out. Wait till Indiana Jones comes out. And I'm like, but
I
these
think
games
Doom gonna do good.
Well,
Which one, Jay?
I do believe in that.
Fundamental
Like,
problem.
Doom
right?
can't go
It's-
wrong.
Doom's
You can't
gonna
go
do
wrong
Doom's
with
gonna
Doom.
do phenomenal, but Doom's everywhere.
Well,
Yeah,
what Phil Spencer said several years ago. I don't know, was it a couple of years ago that
Yeah.
he said that good games don't sell consoles. He said we can make a good game, and that's not going to sell a console. Now, I don't know how much I believe in that, because
Yeah, I don't know
okay,
about that.
as everyone, I support what everyone says. I like their games. I'm actually looking forward to
Phil
South of
full of shit
Midnight.
on
It
that.
looks like a game that I would play.
Yep.
I like the Uden Chronicles. I like the fact that I can get 100 heroes and precursor to Uden Chronicles on the same Game Pass, and I don't have to pay it. I don't have to pay like $60 per game. I can pay $15 a month and play my hearts out for that. I like that. Okay, I'm not saying that, but as everyone has said, are any of these games earth-shattering games? No, they're good games.
They're good games. Yeah.
They're good games. I mean, I'm just saying that they're solid games. They're good 7-8 games. With 7-8 rated games.
Mhm.
So
I have a hot take with Indie. I think Indie is a good game. Don't get it twisted. But when it hits on PlayStation, people's going to buy it. But I think majority of the people is not going to enjoy that game like how they going into it. Like, you know what I mean? The allure thinking about the game. But when you actually play it, you'll be like, hold up, it's a little too much, man. You know what I mean? I gotta turn the key. I gotta pick the key up. Gotta put the key in the door that it uses my stamina to turn the key, and I climb. I block it. It's just too much, man. With
The
Indiana
story
Jones.
with Indiana Jones, Jay, I thought was phenomenal. The voice acting is amazing. I think they did a good job of making a next iteration movie. That was very good. But as far as the
Yeah, and
gameplay,
it looks good too. It looks
it
good.
But
looks
also the
amazing. Looks
sandbox
great.
Areas, the sandbox areas were good for a first-person shooter. I thought it was really well implemented for what it was. It was like it brought the open world aspects of Uncharted into a first-person perspective, and I like that. I said it was pretty cool.
I don't like the stamina bar. I despise it, man. Everything, climbing, blocking, punching. I don't like for Indiana Jones game. Yeah, I get it. They want to be a little bit more realistic, but they went too far, in my opinion, with it. But I think it's a cool game. It's a cool game, though.
Yeah. And like I said, I think, and it's going to be interesting how South of Midnight Early Access is released now. The review, I don't know. The last review I saw was 76, maybe 78. And I think that's probably where it'll hover around. Again, I think that's a fine review. There's nothing really bad about any of this. I just feel like everyone's like, oh, they're here, they did it, this is what we've been waiting for. And I'm like, I'm not sure that, like, I don't know. I feel like it's like we said
the same coin, right?
Say again, Morris?
The same coin. You have two sides of the same coin. You got, for example, you got Xbox, who has a lot of games that are good, and you got Nintendo, who is living off of their laurels right now. They know that they're the only platform holder that if you want to play the next Mario Kart, the next Smash Brothers, the next Pokemon, they got you by the ball.
Right.
You have to go to their console. So, you got two situations here. You got a company who has decent games and a lot of them, and they're not able to sell their hardware in any appreciable manner. And you've got another company who is saying, okay, guess what? You're going to pay us $450 or $500 for the console, plus you're going to pay us $80 for the fucking game.
Yeah.
And
but
what are they living off of? The brand recognition of their game. They know Mario Kart is Mario Kart.
How about you left one?
Smash
you left
Smash.
one word out though, Wise. Yes, I can see where you're going, but you left the word quality out. So when I know that I'm going to go get like that, like Mario Kart is going to be a quality game, right? I mean, I think everyone would agree with that. Even if somebody in the chat was listening later and they're like, no, I don't want to buy that game. That's fine. You might not want to buy it, but it's going to be a quality game. I think it's that's the thing with, I feel like a lot of these games that have been coming out on Game Pass, whether you're talking about, it doesn't matter which one it is. It's like they feel like they're like, you said it. You're a big Xbox proponent. They're okay games. Jay Barry said it, they're okay games. BG said, yeah, they're good, okay games. But there's been nothing that's been like, everyone was like, oh, Indiana Jones is going to be that. And I'm like, all right. Then they said before that, they were like, Starfield's going to be that. And I'm like, Starfield even got really bad.
Game?
What's that?
You know what's going to be that game?
What?
I feel like the Perfect Dark is going to be that game for Xbox. Yo, to me that was the best showing for Xbox.
I agree with.
I think it's Fable. I
think it's Fable.
What have you seen about that game that makes you even?
It's Fable. Trust me, it's Fable.
You think so, BG?
Fable
looks good too. I agree with that. Fable looks good.
Dark look good.
I mean, Fable than Perfect Dark.
So I say, well, let me ask a question and throw that out. What if Fable and Perfect Dark both hit and get high ratings? Would that change your compass on where you feel like the direction of the publisher is going?
I think he's leaning more towards like bar setting, like, okay, this game is like a masterpiece, or it set the standard as far as graphical push or storytelling. I think that's what he means more than
Fable has all the signs to me of masterpiece type game, where everything else they've released is okay.
I love it.
I think like when you say like the only problem, and Kofi, I definitely want to hear what you want to say. Just to respond to Perfect Dark. Perfect Dark is definitely the one that I was the most excited. One of the most excited games that I saw in the showcase last, because I didn't think they were going to pull that off, and I was pretty damn pumped about it. The only thing is then you see that Crystal Dynamics, they came out and said it's not going to affect the game, but they just had layoffs, and you already know that the what are they called there? What was the name of that was supposed to be the dream team that they assembled over there that didn't really...
The initiative?
The initiative kind of lost a lot of people that they brought in, and they were doing so questionable, they brought in Crystal Dynamics. And now Crystal Dynamics has let go of people that were working on the game. It's like okay, that might be very good. That might be the surprise one. The thing with Fable is Fable looks really great. and it may tell a great story. BG, we've seen a lot more of the story play than the gameplay, and that's what I'm worried about because I'm tired of that now. Like Indiana Jones, great story, great voice acting. Starfield had a good concept behind it and what they were going to do and what they promised and the way that Todd Howard sold it and all the merch they did with it and the advertising and oh my God, right? And then the play kind of fell flat. And you have Playground Games, which makes outstanding racers going for their first run at a game that they haven't really ever that's not their expertise. We're going to find out. So now it's like, is Fable going to look beautiful and like give a great story? How's the gameplay going to be? It really is, when it comes down to it, great gameplay is what makes a great game. You know, like when you come down to, Returnal? Like, there's a lot of people who want to hate on Returnal. They're going to say, well, that wasn't like the next best thing since sliced bread. Okay, but...
Who hating on Returnal?
Have you seen the internet? Like, I mean, there was people who were like, that's not for me. That was for me because the gameplay kept me hooked. I mean, I played that game for 120 plus hours. I mean, I got the platinum and I got the platinum and went back and played it again. Like, I love that game. It was the gameplay that got me hooked. So my point being is just that, like, a game could tell a great story and this, that, but if after the great story and the great voice acting, it doesn't have great gameplay, which I didn't think Indiana Jones had great gameplay. It had everything else. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I hope Fable has all three elements. You know, Perfect Dark looked amazing in the showing. I hope that's what we get. You know, I hope it's that crisp and that clear and that fast and that fluid. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
The big deal with Fable.
They did show some gameplay of it.
They did that, Singer. They did show some gameplay of Fable, but it wasn't a whole lot.
What's going to make or break Fable is what made Fable great. Fable 1 and Fable 2 was how the whole world sort of changed with your actions.
Right.
Like, you could buy Bowerstone. You could grow horns. You could have one woman in one city with a kid and another woman in another city and a kid. I mean, so I hope that they preserve that aspect of it, because that's what made Fable apart, set Fable apart from all the other RPGs at that time, was the fact that the world would look at your choices and react accordingly. And I hope they sort of implement that. What they showed me for Fable right now was a really good action sequence with the little wolf guy that sort of resembled a little bit of a Souls-like, if you will. But I hope they preserve. They seem to have a little bit of the British comedy down with the kicking of the chicken and all that. But I really do hope that that whole situation where, you know, you could become an asshole and the world sort of becomes dark and you grow horns and all that other crap, or you can buy out Bowerstone and raise up everyone's taxes and everyone fucking hates you. I want that. I hope they preserve that. So.
I think they have to. Go ahead, Kofi.
The balance of potentially a game that does not take itself very seriously and has that comedy that you're mentioning, that British humor. I think that's a very unique perspective. I'm trying to think of, you know, Western RPGs that honestly make me laugh. Maybe something like Baldur's Gate 3. But I agree with everybody. I think that Fable is one big difference maker. But I guess when I think of Microsoft overall as a publisher, I think I want to give them credit, because sometimes I think they focus on unique titles that keep me interested. I wanted to throw out a couple of names like Pentiment. I thought Pentiment was really cool. Picked up on Steam. I still need to finish it, but the first opening hours and the racking your mind of the right decision to make, I thought that was really cool. I got to give a shout out, of course, to the defunct Tango Gameworks and Hi-Fi Rush. And I think why I feel like right now Microsoft they still aren't giving enough chances to creativity.
Tango's back though.
That's true. You're right. Tango's back under another owner, and that game will be back, but it's not under Xbox anymore, right? This is now them. And the reason why I criticize them for not keeping Tango is sometimes when your titles start to grow over time, you can wrap your publisher's identity over key tentpole things. And I'm not sure if Gears, well, to be honest, I'm really excited for Gears. So I think Gears will remain as a tentpole. I think Horizon will remain as a tentpole. But I think it was time for something like Hi-Fi Rush to maybe be an example of a great IP that it can be popular, not just in the United States, but in Asia. I think there was so many unique things about that world, and it being rhythm based, and a lot of a lot of gamers in Japan, they love rhythm based games. I could name a few, but I'll leave that there. And another thing is a Hellblade. I think Hellblade should try to grow. I really liked what Hellblade did with their world building. I felt like the combat in the second game just felt it wasn't the evolution I was looking for. But I think Microsoft needs to kind of like triple down and say, like, whatever's next for this developer we need to see if they can be a representative of what's in Game Pass. I just feel like there's no identity. It's many things, right? We have Simulator, we have Minecraft Dungeons, we got this new, what's that IP coming out called, Clockwork something, that first person shooter. All these
Clockwork Revolution
coming out, but they don't have anything that they're developing. Maybe except for Perfect Dark and Fable, but they could just use a couple more titles that stick around. Here's something that I think they don't trust their developers to become that. I'll give you an example of other publishers doing that, and this might make BG kind of angry. Even though they haven't made anything in forever, Media Molecule still exists, and it's because they won awards. It's because they were hugely impactful at a certain time. And that Dreams game, even though nobody played it, it was really well made. Yeah. I spent a lot of time trying to make things with that. So Sony's at least acknowledging they did something significant. And I felt like Tango Gameworks, when they were under Xbox, it didn't sell gangbusters, but it was something to grow with.
Yeah.
And they let go too early.
Yeah.
They're getting there, but they just got to work it a little bit more.
Kofi, just to piggyback off that, and BG and Jay, when I was kind of preaching to you guys about what I was my point with Game Pass is he said it right there. So take a game like Hi-Fi Rush and a game like Avowed. Now, and Death Singer, you're going to love this. Avowed, I thought the story, halfway through the game, kind of started to lose me. But Avowed had some fun gameplay. If you played it, I thought it was some fun gameplay. I really did. I enjoyed it. The world was also it was great to explore, very colorful and vibrant and just alive. Love that you could have basically two different setups. You can up your wizardry and also have like knives and swords, and you can have axes, and you can have all this stuff and shields, so you can have powers while you still emphasize your strengths on weapons. Or you can go as a mage and just go out there and be full blast magic. There was so many different things, and then that was a fun gameplay. So gameplay to me triumphants all this other stuff when people are like, oh, this game looks good. Yeah, I mean, it can look good, but if it doesn't have fun gameplay, it doesn't keep you there. In Hi-Fi Rush, again, awesome art style, but the gameplay was fun. It's fun. I mean, I have it on Xbox. I bought it on Steam because I like the game. I like that game. I didn't get it again. I didn't triple dip on PlayStation. I already have it on Steam and Xbox. But like, I just think that's the emphasis. And to agree with you, Kofi, is it's kind of like, where's that, like, what are you trying to get out of these teams? Like, give them a chance to express themselves in a fun light, but at the same time, let them continue to create on something that they're an expert on. I don't know. For some reason, I feel like it's just they spin their wheels and they're like, try this, and it's like,
for example, just a thought that when Death Stranding 2, I know it's not part of PlayStation First Party, but when Death Stranding 2 is announced, it's kind of like PlayStation gamers are like, we wanted this game to come out. We expected a game, a simulator. I'll call it like, what it is. We expected this. So we're really excited because we're I hate to say it, but this is the ecosystem we're in. This is the types of IPs that we like, and we're all here for it. And Xbox has an opportunity to do that with more of their titles, and they have their hands everywhere, right? But they got Grounded, they got all this stuff, but nobody's like, where's Grounded 2, right? Like, I can't wait to get the Grounded DLC. Nobody's saying that.
No.
And they could do something, I think, with one of these IPs and really like focus on making it excellent.
Yeah, go ahead, Death Singer. I know you want to comment.
All right. Kind of point to what you said though. Like, look at Obsidian. Pentiment, and then Grounded, then the Outer Worlds, then Avowed, now the Outer Worlds 2, which I'm glad they kept with the Outer Worlds because it's
right.
essentially
Yes, that is a good one, by the way.
Fallout.
Yes.
Like Obsidian is all over the place, but that's because they're very diverse, because they had to be, because their history is we need to survive, so we'll make whatever we need to. So they can go any which way, but their mainstay is RPG, of course. God, that's what they're renowned for.
That's right.
And Avowed, yeah, they tried gameplay, which was better, but the story was a bit more lacking. But they experiencing, like, I expect an Avowed 2, and I expect that to be a hell of a lot better than Avowed, the first one, because this is kind of they've focused more on the gameplay.
You think
probably a little bit less on the story.
You think Avowed 2 is getting greenlit?
Oh yeah, of course. Obsidian. Look at their successful games. Like Pentiment was made by 15 people, and yeah, it didn't sell much, but it was a success for what it is. It's a little storybook game. Then Grounded is a success in its own right, from the looks of it, even on PlayStation. And then you have like Avowed probably did whatever it's going to do. Outer Worlds 2 is coming out. Like they're constantly pumping, and they're not stopping. So it's going to be, I would imagine they'd get an Avowed 2, because they said they're not going to work on a third Pillars of Eternity, which I think they should, but people ain't going to, vibe with that.
Right,
but then also, so if more studios could be as diverse in their portfolio as Obsidian is, then I would expect more projects in them. But if you look at most of the studios, they're stuck in their ways. Like you look at 343, they'll make nothing but Halo till the end of time, right? You have Turn 10, they'll make Forza Motorsport till the end of time. Shout out to Playground, they're actually going in a new direction, and I think they'll do really, really well with Fable, because not only do you have Eidos Montreal helping you, and that they made the goated Deus Ex series, and we knew what happened to the new one they were making, unfortunately, but that would have been great. But I've Playground, they know how to do an open world, they know how to do the whole evolving open world, so they just need some help with the aspects, but I think they could do it. But most of the studios at Xbox they're stuck in their ways. Like they won't divert from, or they're not allowed to divert. Like would 343 want to make something else? Probably, but the guys at Xbox like, nope, Halo, fuck you.
Yeah.
And that's just what it's going to be. Whereas Obsidian's probably in exile as well. These like teams are allowed to do your own thing, because whatever you're doing is working. Rare, do your own thing, because Sea of Thieves is a massive success.
Right.
Sure, look, you want to do whatever your next thing is, go for it, because you're proven success. So I don't know, it's gonna be interesting. I just think they need a bit more flexibility.
I do, and I think Fable is the outlier. That's going to be a big judge as well. But when it comes down to it, you made a good point. Obsidian is one of their gold stars, right? That's a great pickup for them. But when you look at like Compulsion Games, they haven't done anything since We Happy Few, and that didn't do very well. This one here, I think is, I'm not talking about ratings, but I've been reading a lot of the people they were like, every reviewer's like, I was very excited for this, but like Jay was saying, like the gameplay, it didn't really it didn't do what I thought it was going to do. I saw people that we trust, and they don't take any sides in the console war, and they gave their reviews on X, and they were in the somewhere between the 6.5 and 7.5 out of 10, and it's like, I feel like, so that's Compulsion. We haven't seen anything out of Double Fine since they were purchased, really. I know that their Psychonauts 2 came out shortly thereafter, but Psychonauts 2 was almost done before they were acquired. And, that game was phenomenal, by the way. But we haven't seen anything out of them. And it's like they've made a lot of these purchases. Ninja Theory kind of feel like that's been wasted since they picked them up. We've gotten, Hellblade 2. And Hellblade 2 really, I thought, really under-delivered. Again, not the visuals, because everyone's going to go, what do you mean? It was the most beautiful game I've ever seen. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but you go to an art gallery for the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. I go to games for, the best gameplay I've ever experienced. So it's one of those things where I just feel like at the end of the day, people are like, well, there you go. The games are all flying out. And I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, because I was mistaken. I thought my Game Pass ran out in February. It actually runs out, I believe it's November this year. So when that runs out, I mean, I'm just thinking to myself, I'll probably pick the games that I want and buy them on Steam and play them there. Or pick them up on Xbox and play them there and just buy the games I want. It's just, I don't know. It seems like some of them are just a lot of hit and miss. And there's a lot of great press before games come out. and then they just kind of are, they're okay. It's a lot of really.
I'm gonna give Xbox their credit because the cadence is definitely catching up as far as the releases.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, eventually, we knew they was gonna hit this point as far as like, okay, you have all these publishers, you have all these studios. Yeah, these games are gonna be.
They're gonna come out.
And
yeah.
This year they've been doing a pretty good job, especially as a third party publisher standpoint as well. So
absolutely, the only thing I'd say is like you delay. Eventually, you're going to have a flood, right, Jay? So I mean, 22 didn't have any games. I think they came out with Pentiment at the very end of the year. They had a couple of. Was 23 a highlight? No, 24 was a good year for them. But like they launched in 2020 with no game. I ended up buying Valhalla. Assassin's Creed Valhalla with my Xbox Series X because I was like I wanted a game to play on it, So
Singer, you bought an Xbox, right?
For like 2 months for Destiny 2, yeah. The Series S.
Man.
It's because, as I said, it's because they didn't have crossplay between PC and console yet on Destiny 2.
Yeah.
So I had to buy an Xbox to play with my friends.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the cheapest option to get Destiny 2. But then as soon as they turned on the crossplay between PC, I retired that shit straight away and just had Destiny 2 on PC. But it's just it is what it is because that was the only reason. Because I have no reason to own an Xbox because I can play all their games on my PC. And I just upgraded my graphics card. So it's like, I'm just locked in. And I don't really use Game Pass anyway. I'll just play the games that I want to play. So, yeah, it's just a thing.
Yeah, that's the one thing I do. I totally agree with you there. I mean, you do a few things like that, though, Deathsinger, with like Ubisoft Plus or something like that, right? You'll download that or you'll buy that for a month, play the game, and then wrap that up. I mean, that's the same thing that goes for Game Pass. Like, I still recommend that. You want to play a game and it's on there, put down $20, pick it up. Or on PC Game Pass, it's, I think, $12.99 still or something to that nature. You put down $12.99, you play the single player game, you beat it in a couple of weeks, and you just cancel it. And I mean, I think that's a win-win for a lot of different gamers. So that works. But that's why Microsoft has pivoted, I think, because, and I go full circle here, and we're kind of coming to the end of the show, is just that's why Microsoft went ahead and did what they did, because, Game Pass does certain things for them, but, selling games at $70 a piece does others. And I think that Indiana Jones and Sea of Thieves and a few other games that sold pretty, the numbers weren't as staggering as I thought for Sea of Thieves on PlayStation. From what I heard and what the media was kind of pushing, the numbers that came out were a little bit lower, but still, that's good money in their pocket. They sold another 2 million copies or something like that, or 3 million copies.
Ain't no PlayStation gamer bought that. That's Microsoft buying them copies, man.
No,
Stupid.
PlayStation guys bought it.
Shut up, Mari.
Don't do that, Mari. Don't do that.
BG, all right, look, check this out. Sea of Thieves is the only game
their own copies is crazy,
bro. Sea of Thieves is the only game I've seen that was charting, right? Everybody say, "Oh, it's charted on the MPDs or Sakana," but I know this is anecdotal as well. But I got like 400 something people on my friends list, and you could check your friends list as well. There was nobody playing that game.
Yeah,
I've never seen a game that charted where I don't see not one of my friends playing. I'm not even lying, bro. Any other game
it's
that
a casual audience.
It is a casual audience because bear in mind, Sea of Thieves
I'm talking about your friends list right now. Sea of Thieves came out whenever it came out. It was charting, right? According to whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I bet you ain't seen not one of your friends playing that game, BG.
Well, no, I don't see one of my...
Listen, I barely know Xbox dudes who actually play Sea of Thieves. It's not popular by hardcore gamers. It's popular by I don't know nobody to play that.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
Yeah.
There's no game that be charting. There's no game that be charting like that, right? Top 10 on the leaderboards, top 10, and then you not one person that's not playing it. Like, come on, man. It ain't make no sense, man. They buying their own goddamn games, man, and I'm sticking with it.
No. People are playing the game. Like, I look at Sea of Thieves when it launched on PC, right? And it did really, really well. And then the streamer came in, I can't remember the streamer's name, and just boosted the popularity. But people play it for a fun jaunt in their multiplayer game. So
you're talking about 2017, 2018. We're in 2022.
Yeah, but
2025.
But it's still
2025.
Yeah, but Sea of Thieves is still putting up numbers even now. So, like, we're talking a game that came out like 8 years ago. People are playing the game. It's like saying,
bruh. Everybody play that game, bro.
I don't put. All right, it's just like saying who plays whatever game. Like people play different games all the time. Do I play CS:GO? No, but does it still hit like a million concurrent players? Yeah. Like
nobody
how much you think
nobody in my friends list has downloads Candy Crush, but it's the #1 selling game of all time, right? So there you go.
No, bro. Look, when a game like Helldivers came out, Helldivers 2 came out, it was charting. Steam, PlayStation. You saw people playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
A game like Sea of Thieves, it was charted. Number 7 on the list, number 13 overall. You don't see nobody playing that game. Nobody's streaming it. Nobody's on your friend. There's something not right. It don't add up, bro.
It does add up.
I know it sounds crazy to y'all, but I'm just saying, like, this is the first time I've seen a game that's charting and I see nobody playing the joint.
But Barry, it does add up.
No.
It does add up
games
because,
like that, though.
Because we are the minority. We don't represent. We represent a drop in the bucket to who actually owns the PlayStation.
Yeah, but I'm saying we can also check outside of our circle, our box. Where
you can. And people are playing it.
If Sea of Thieves came out on PlayStation, I go to YouTube and I type in Sea of Thieves and I see no content, nobody streaming, and it's charting. Something is up, bro. That's all I'm saying. Something is up.
People.
So maybe the same bots that bought all those PlayStation 5s when it first came out, they're the same bots that bought Sea of Thieves later on.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, man.
Yeah, everybody send Jay some clips of Sea of Thieves on PS5. Get him some evidence, please.
Microsoft to be crazy.
Microsoft. Listen, I'm watching them Forza and I'm watching them Indiana Jones too. I'm watching it.
Yeah, I'm checking that too.
Microsoft buying them joints up. They buying it up.
Hey, Barry,
I promise.
You know what's crazy? I just looked at Twitch. There were a whole bunch of people streaming this game. Like, there were tons of streams.
Where?
And they got a couple hundred viewers as well. I'm looking on Twitch right now. Like,
which game? You just said games. Which game?
I'm just Sea of Thieves.
Like,
I am just looking at all these streams right now.
But if you look at Sea of Thieves...
So these people are playing Sea of Thieves, my guy. So people are playing Sea of Thieves. Like, I'm looking at it right now, in live.
Anyway,
I was kind of surprised that they didn't announce that game for the Switch too. I thought that would be yeah.
So if you go to Sea of Thieves, hold on
Twitch, right now.
Twitch, yeah.
You'll find a whole bunch of people streaming the game.
Find me a person streaming it from their PlayStation. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but you said no one's playing the game, Barry.
No, I'm talking about.
It's not
on the PlayStation.
So wait a minute. So just for transparency here. So there's 3,000 viewers. I don't know. Apparently, you don't watch Twitch, do you? Like that singer? Like 3,000 viewers. That's not a lot. Like Demons.
Well, so someone's playing the game.
Well, there's always somebody. There's 3,000 people watching someone play Brotato right now. Like that's not like a big, you know what I'm saying? Like that's not a big number.
But then Barry said no one's playing the game. Barry said no one's playing the game.
I don't think he meant it literally. I think he just meant like, it's
yeah, but he also said no one on his friends list. All these people playing the game right now to live viewers, they are on Barry's friends list.
I'm bringing up the PlayStation sales as far as the success. Everybody was like, "Oh, it's a big success on PlayStation," which the charts did show that. But I'm saying that it's very rare, or I don't see that if a game is charting like that. Mm-hmm. Normally, you will see at least people on your friends list, or people streaming it, or people sharing content. People talk. There's nothing of that sort going on with this game when it came out for PlayStation, but it was charting. Who's buying it?
I just went on YouTube. Stream Sea of Thieves PS5 Pro with a bunch of his friends tagged. Andrew Portes on YouTube. Shout out to him.
Free plug.
He's streaming Sea of Thieves.
So
he's streaming Sea of Thieves on his PS5 Pro.
He found that one guy.
How many views you got up in there, figure?
I'm gonna check now. I'm gonna have a look. I'm gonna have a look.
The problem was it was just this one. That was that one kid, but he used his parents' credit card and he bought 400,000 copies of the same game. That's the problem. There you go.
Yeah, that's.
It was 8 hours ago. 8 hours ago, no views. Don't worry about it. Well, he has one.
Hey, listen. I gotta tell you that. Well, I mean, that debunks your numbers a bit there, that singer. But nonetheless, I do think that.
But someone's actually streaming it. I'm playing the game on PlayStation.
The only time I've ever played Sea of Thieves and had fun, I had a whole lot of tequila to help me with it. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. Yeah, well, no, I listen. Sea of Thieves is definitely. I think BG said it. I think Jay said it. I think even Wise, you had mentioned it's definitely it's a casual. Like it's a lot of people just play it to relax, chill, have fun with friends. So it definitely does its thing. And there was a time where a couple of big streamers really were playing it religiously, and it spiked. I mean, it went up there. That was when Microsoft was really pushing it. Right when it, not when it first came out, but maybe a year after it came out, when they got some of that DLC and they put a few more things out there. The fighting was a little bit better. They had more ship combat. It did do decently. But then it's kind of drifted off, no pun intended. But it's kind of, and it's just kind of floating. You know, it's just there. But nonetheless, I want to say thanks to everybody. I've kept you guys here for almost 3 hours. It's been a great show. Honestly, great conversation, fluid conversation too throughout the panel. Outstanding. Thanks to everybody in the chat as well. And I do have one shout out to Shivanchu Prasad. He says, I just want the gaming media and grifters to keep the same energy towards Nintendo that they had with Sony. Articles about building PCs for $450, etc. Shout out to him. I didn't get to that one when we were leaving the Nintendo conversation, but that's actually really funny. That's actually great. Shout out to Prasad. I appreciate that. And True Witty says, boy, Switch 2 going to be Switch with you for real. True Witty, I know you write me all the time, and I thought you were like, I don't know. You were like, no, I'm typing on my phone. And I'm like, I think you're doing voice to text because there's always a couple of words missing. I appreciate the super chat though, buddy.
Nah, sometimes when you do super chat with the iPhone on YouTube,
does
it be skipping or messing up words sometimes, man. Like it be tearing up your whole sentence.
Yeah, I mean, he wrote boy. He says, boy, Switch 2, go be Switch with you for real. And I don't know. But Truity, I appreciate you writing that. Thank you. Guys, outstanding show. Please do hit the like button on the way out. Please do hit the subscribe button if you haven't. Your name comes up in lights. I'll go in reverse order and say what's up and thank you to BG. BG, thank you. Awesome show tonight. Glad you could make it. Reach out to you in the middle of the week. So, BG, you got some time to hang out with us because I saw your comments when I saw the Nintendo Direct go live and I said I got to talk to him. There's just too much to cover here. But BG, thanks for being here tonight. Let people know where they can find you. And I look forward to you coming back on the show real soon.
Yes, sir. Weapon Wheel Podcast, on Sundays, 5 p.m. EST. Check out my channel. Yeah, that's it, man.
Appreciate that, BG. Always appreciate you being on the show and spitting the facts, man. Telling the truth, how you feel. The great Jay Barry, everybody. Jay, great to have you as well. You really got the audience in a tizzy there by the end there. They were like, I had some people write me messages like, does that mean that he doesn't think people are buying the game? The sales are not there? I was like, no, listen, Chase playing with you a little bit there. Jay, great to have you on the show as always. I love What's Up PlayStation. Love all the work you do even between when you're like, hey, this is how you beat this boss. This is how you do this. All that really helps, and it takes a lot of time. So thanks for everything that you do and always promoting and helping this channel as well. Jay, let people know where they can find you, and thanks for being here tonight.
Yeah, man. Good show. Great conversations, man. It's always a pleasure, chopping up with y'all. But always remember, trophies over gameplay.
He's still throwing jabs out there. He's still throwing them out there.
Absolutely, clip it up. But good show, man. I hit the like button, and shout out to my man Mooch and everybody. I appreciate that, Jay. Shout out to Persona as well. We got the great Wise Old Gamer. Wise, great to have you on too as well, buddy. I love it when your takes. I like it when you're like, I got an analogy for you guys. I'm always like, oh, let's hear it. We got to hear this one. Wise, great to have you as always. The great, you already know, Wasted with Wise Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern time. Wise, let people know they can find you, and thanks for making it tonight. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. It's always an honor to be on with the great Jay Bari, and of course, this is my first time actually being on with with Broken Games and Creative Coffee as well.
Nice.
We do a show every Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern, called Wasted with Wise. It's me and 8 or 9 other panelists, and we just get drunk and just talk shit. And so thank you for having me on, and just catch us every Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern, and remember, Nintendo rules it all.
That's so true. Well, let me go to the great Creative Kofi. Kofi, you probably agree with him. Nonetheless, Kofi, great for 2 weeks in a row, buddy. I know you were on last week, and we had a dynamic show last week, but I had to get you back on here, especially with the Nintendo talk. I wish you could have been here even earlier because we did spend the first hour on Nintendo, and you came right at the tail end. But nonetheless, Kofi, we'll have you on in a week or two again when your schedule opens up. and we'll kind of, I'm sure this conversation is not over. But Kofi, let people know where they can find you. Thanks for being here, buddy.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for inviting me. I am usually on Twitter posting about Monster Hunter Wilds. I just hit HR 50, and I know that there is an update for Monster Hunter that I think is like tonight or like at midnight or something like that. So if people want to team up with me, I'm a switch axe guy. I don't usually die. So that's really fun. And then, of course, I'm always posting about JRPGs. I just finished up. Shout out to Jay Barry because I know he really loves this game. Visions of Mana. Just finished that one. It's amazing. And now I'm on to Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D. And it's just going to be straight JRPGs through the summer and, all the way up into a new Trails game at the end of the year. So chat with me, invite me on podcasts. We can talk it up. I love it.
Well, great to have you, Kofi. Kofi, by the way, one quick question for you. Do you platinum those games or you just complete them and move on?
It depends. For Visions of Mana, I did not. The last one I platinumed was East 10. So it's been a little while. But usually I complete all quests, but I may not. I'll say this. If a JRPG requires me to beat the game twice, I will not platinum it.
Okay.
I got too much to do.
I got to get back to East 10.
Yeah, East 10 is great, man. Especially thinking back, and of course, I don't know if you guys saw that East is getting a Switch 2 release, but that's a whole other thing. So,
and again, they're gonna crossover too with Trails, I think.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So
to make me delay the end of this podcast with that. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of interesting things Falcom's been up to. I love chatting that stuff. So.
Well, great to have you, Kofi. I really appreciate it. Like I say, in a couple of weeks, let me know when the schedule opens up. I'd like to have you back on the show. Always great to have you here. And, of course, the great Death Singer, everybody. Singer, as always, just having a blast reading. When you're on a rant, I just watch the chat. It's endless opportunities for back and forth. You've grown to love them. They've grown to love you, Singer. Let people know where they can find you, buddy. And, as always, it's great to podcast with you. Let people know where they can find you, bud.
Oh yeah, you can find me everywhere doing my thing. You could also may this be a reminder to all game developers: never go full Concord because you might not recover from it afterwards. I had to throw that in there,
Well, naturally,
because I love Barry so much.
Yeah, man, catch me outside, bro. Catch me outside, man. Y'all gonna stop playing around with me, man.
Shout out to the chat, as always, sticking with me through thick and thin. Shout out to you guys. And I know Neo Falcom is going ham with the Legend of Heroes games, and I'm here for it.
Yeah.
And I know Kofi will like that because I absolutely adore the Legend of Heroes series. So I can't wait to check out what's coming next from them. So yeah.
Oh, great to have you here. That Singer, as always. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. And just a couple quick shout-outs, because I see people asking in the chat. Brap said he was going to be able to make it. He's Coach of the Year, folks. You don't realize this. He's Coach of the Year. He's always coaching a new... it's basketball, then it's baseball, then it's soccer. Shout out to Brap. He did a podcast yesterday. I don't know if he's going to go again tomorrow. It's Brap_podcast. Shout out to the Crap Gamer. Me and Crap were talking earlier. Crap had some stuff to take care of the past 2 weeks. I did say he'd be back this week. That was... I misspoke on that. Crap is scheduled to be back next week, guys. So shout out to Crap Gamer. It's _Crap Gamer and Crap Gamer Reviews over on YouTube. Go over and check out Crap's material. And of course, Nib. That's Nib95_. Shout out to Nib. He did such a great job on X today. I said to him, if you got some time, I'd love to have you on for the first hour. He says, yeah, I think I can do about an hour. So shout out to Nib. I appreciate that. And I'm just looking to see. Shout out to the Great Gaming Forte as well as Slow Mo Backslap. They are doing DPS podcast right now. If you're going to go over there and check it out, tell them Mooch sent you. And I really, really appreciate it. Guys, great show tonight. Loved everybody on the panel. Loved everybody in the chat. Please hit the like button on the way out. Subscribe if you haven't. We'll see you next Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And again, go over and check us out on twitch.tv. Same everywhere. Mooch TV. Thank you guys. Peace out. Good night.